Monday evening can mean only one thing. Week 6 of NECC Valorant is happening right now. My name is Sam Tonks. Joining me is none other than the phenomenal Zobi. And Zobi, we have an amazing game tonight, right? We have OC Eagles going up against Baker Swarm. This is quite possibly one of the most contentious games that we have. Both teams, right, one loss, but with the Baker Swarm being that one game ahead in the win category. So a potential here for one of these teams to upset the other one.
Yeah, I mean, first off, Sam, apparently it's flannel week. Just gonna put that out there. Week number 6, but it's a little bit different of a dynamic, right? The first match of this season was a loss for OC Eagles, and they've been on a win streak since, versus the first loss out of Baker Swarm was last week in a very close game against Concordia St. Paul Blue as well. So now it's a question of, okay, can you get yourself out of the hole of your first loss of the season like the Eagles were able to?
It's a big question that we have over our minds, over our heads. But let's go ahead and take a look at the rosters and see just who exactly is going to be playing on both of our teams. Starting off with Baker Swarm, Nami, Ladder Moves, Rice Ball, and Fate and Demon. Zobi, I'll let you handle the OC Eagle side.
Yeah, it's going to be Jerbsy, Zen, Miniweed, Vader, and Pablo. But we got to point out that Baker Swarm not playing with their plat Demon Dumbbell the God. So I'm curious to see how Nami's going to fare in this. And I mean, they are going to be coaching today, so they're back maybe to their roots even.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because last week we had an opportunity to see Coach Joe. We didn't get that. The coaches are going back to their coach slots and letting the players actually play. But now the more important topic that we can go into, Zobi, is where our maps are going to be. And we're also in a new era, right? Ascent is back, but guess what? We're not going to see it tonight. Instead, it's going to be Icebox, one of the maps that did return in favor of Abyss and Bind. So Icebox is center back. But it is Icebox, Split, and our decider map of Lotus.
And I'm not gonna lie, this actually makes a lot of sense for picks and bans. Split and Lotus in particular are kind of big maps for both of these teams. The Eagles picking into Icebox, though, I think is their best bet, because Bind was their most played, their most won on map, and now it has left the pool, right, alongside Abyss. So if you want a map that's not going to be strong for the opponent, like Haven, then I think this was your best bet, is to go for one that just re-entered the pool, hope they aren't adequately prepared for it, and see if you are.
Yeah, and the good thing about Icebox was, well, right, it hasn't changed much. It comes back. Actually, the same map. There's no differences whatsoever from when we saw it leave to when it comes back now into the map pool. And so, yeah, interesting way to maybe upset the tempo and the pacing of your opponents, especially when they haven't been playing on it for a very long time. And again, you know, you've had that foresight of knowing that the map is coming back, potential ways of being able to play around it. And of course, there is that new agent that just came, or a new agent in Tejo. We don't have the latest agent of Waylay out available in NECC just yet. That's not going to be happening until playoffs, but Tejo could still shake up some things as well when we talk about Icebox. Possibility to see it as a smaller map, tighter corridors, better usage of some of the guided salvo along with the spider drone, and a way that, again, could shake up the dynamics of how Icebox is played.
You know, I was definitely thinking about it, right? Old meta for Icebox, right? Was like the double Senti, right? With like your KJ and your Sage. Then there was like the double controller with like, a Vice and like with a Viper and an Omen. And I'm curious to see then, how the Teo is going to fare. I think on the A side, Teo is going to be a menace. Especially like you mentioned, truck, right? Maze, all those tight angles. And also you think about the operators that like to hold rafters and backside angles. That's not going to be possible anymore if we get that pick. And both of these teams, I'll say it, are Tejo teams on certain maps. So I do think there's a possibility both teams actually pick it up here. So I'm excited to see that. Hopefully one of them will in agent select, but I'm curious if we're gonna see other agents that have come out as well, like the Vice on this map in particular, right? I mean, I feel like the teams that don't go with Sentinels, right? What do? You post somebody up mid, maybe throw a Vice one mid instead. It'll definitely be interesting to see.
Yeah, right. You think about it. You think about how one of the dominant Sentinels for the map, KJ in particular, able to cover large swaths of that map, but you put the Vice there, different looks, and again, going back to that talk of the double Sentinel meta that we have for Icebox, maybe the KJ, Vice working together in tandem with each other to prevent those pushes, stall out for as long as you can. Icebox being that kind of tricky map where you have those uncoordinated groups that if you're uncoordinated, you're going to find Icebox sort of like banging your head against the wall. But if you're a well-oiled machine, if you know what you're doing, if you know how you want to execute each site, it is a team playground, so to speak. And then, yeah, there's a lot of different just looks as well as when we go into our next map of Split, and if we have to go all the way to the decider of Lotus. But yeah, Icebox Obi, I'm excited for it.
No, I'm a KJ main, and I think, like you mentioned, it's one of her bigger maps. She just got technically buffed, if you think about the Taeho nerfs as well, right? That's not going to be able to destroy the utility as easily. So I'm hoping that'll help the pick rates a little bit as we return to Icebox. But otherwise, all this is speculation. We're still waiting on both of the teams to get ready, Sam. So I think that's a great time to fuel up, don't you think?
Ooh, Zobi. That's a great point there. Great point, because one of our amazing sponsors, we have Winzel's Farm. Fuel your game with Winzel's Farm snack sticks. No mess, no distractions, just bold, protein-packed flavor to keep you locked in. Whether you're grinding ranked or leading the squad, Winzel's keeps you powered up. Grab a stick, stay in the game, crush the competition. Winzel's Farm, fuel for gamers, flavor for champions. And I know sometimes, Obi, when I'm like on my 7th hour of solo queue in Valorant, you need a little protein to keep you going.
3 or 4 loss streak, it's rough, yeah.
3 or 4 loss streak. I wish I just broke a 5-game loss streak, and so yeah, here we are.
But was it in one night? Exactly.
Yeah. No, fair point. It was it's crazy out there, and especially with the Scent and Icebox coming back in. And it's also a good topic of discussion when speaking of Icebox, we could be seeing the return of Viper, right? Ever since her nerfs came in, and you take out a couple of key specific maps, Icebox being one of them, Breeze being the other. Yeah, she gets to come back and have that moment to shine yet again.
I'm really hoping if we don't get either team picking up the Viper, I'm gonna be really, really sad. And I'm curious if, like, in the back end, Riot's trying to do anything to address that, right? Like, they tried addressing the Killjoy, lack of picks now, Cypher, Deadlock taking the helm, even the Vice now, and more aggressive meta that we're starting to see. So I'm hoping that they'll make some changes for her soon, or maybe back off on the nerfs just a touch. But aside from that, I mean, Icebox, they came back without any changes, right? Ascent had a slight change, right? Wallbang, Sova, no more, except for one angle. So, I mean, do we think that people are going to just return to the old meta, or do we think they're going to take that adaptation of, okay, the more aggressive, Sentinel, maybe even some double duelist? Because I think, if I remember correctly, Baker Swarm is a team that likes to go for the double duelist on certain maps as well.
We've been seeing that a lot of that coming out of collegiate. A couple of teams have just been running that double duelist meta. We saw it last week happening on, I believe it was Haven, where you get the double duelist, you get the Jet, you get the ISO, or you get the Yorio, you get the ISO. So collegiate teams definitely love leaning into that double duelist. They love having that frag out potential, where at the end of the day, this is Valorant is, as long as you can land your shots, right? We see that happening in challengers a little bit with rankers now, MV, but
Rip him against M80 today. It was a close game. It was a good one. Low key, if we're talking about collegiate, Okeanos popped off for 2 rounds, getting 4Ks, and that's why they won. But aside from that, you mentioned some of the duelists that we might see crop up, and I don't think you're too wrong. You talked about the ISO. Fate has played that before, and we talked about agent changes. Well, ISO also got some, we'll call it balances, because he was buffed in certain places and nerfed in others, right? Their contingency, their vulnerability now also suppresses, but they only get 1 charge, right? So buffed it a little bit, nerfed in terms of the charges. And then the other big one that I'm crying at personally is when he springs the death contract, he automatically, no matter what, has his double tap shield on. And I'm always praying that they forget to pop their shield and have a fair fight against them in the gulag. That's no more.
Yeah, the gulag is a little bit crazier. And there's also the wall. If you press alt fire, it slows down. So
that's true.
You can pace yourself better to go along with the wall to isolate the angle. So again, maybe we could be seeing that happening on Icebox, the duelist safe haven, the duelist paradise. We get that happening a lot. Although I feel like if we get the double duelist, we're probably going to see the Jet Reyna duelist composition.
Yeah.
More than anything, just to have the Reyna dismiss, get out of there, play for those early aggressive picks out of Maze, and win, basically, at the end of the day. And then I think there's also, too, you brought up Deadlock as well, who also got a couple of massive changes, something that we could talk about when we're looking forward to our next map of Split, right? Because you sometimes have a Deadlock being played on that map. Deadlock having that wall now shifted off of the signature, where now it's the net. The net is the signature ability. Smaller radius on that as well. And I think that really changes the dynamic of Deadlock, especially in the aspect of she had been seeing more of that play. She had been having more of those impact rounds, especially when you think of her wall and pistol rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense, right? No agent kind of has a wall as their signature, right? Sage, heal, Vice, it's their flash. So I think that's smart. It also makes me a little like fearful, but also maybe it's not as bad that it is the signature as the net, because I've gotten griefed by the net not landing by my teammates multiple times. But I do think that maybe the radius decrease will help with that a lot. Like you look at maps like Ascent where she's played right now, like it'll like clip through walls and like your player's tucked away in a corner, like you didn't expect it to grab them and it does. Like it's sometimes hard to pinpoint properly.
Well, good news, we are finally going into Agent Select. So we're going to see how Icebox is going to pan out and see if any of our predictions are going to happen. We're already coming out, seeing a couple of the standard picks for Icebox, but there's the Reyna!
Okay. This is feeling like, okay, yep, the double duelist, the spicier one, but we still get our Viper, we still get our Killjoys, and now the double Initiator, which is, I think, the go-to safe bet aside from the double Sentinel, like I mentioned beforehand, of the Killjoy Sage, which is like the more like defensive, even leaning composition. So it's like safe versus sorry, essentially, for Vader and Shadow. Like they're gonna make you say sorry, or they're gonna apologize for not fragging out, because that's what you need with a feast or famine agent like the Reyna, like Vader. And I mean, Reyna's an agent who doesn't get picked a lot, so getting to see them back in like a professional environment like Collegiate's gonna be good.
Oh, winning from ear to ear, right? Getting the chance and the opportunity to see Vader on that Reyna, but like you said, they're going to be on the spotlight. They're going to be put under the magnifying glass. How are you going to use this agent to its maximum potential? And is it going to be enough when you're looking at Fate, who's on the KO? Is that deficit going to be enough? Are you going to be able to give your team that leg up that they need to have? But it's going to be OC Eagles on the attack versus Baker Swarm for the defense. It's already OC Eagles split across this B-A split. 3 towards B, now coming back over, where Baker Swarm also has majority of their players right now.
Demon first line of contact here. Drone trying to clear out any close ratty angles from Shorty. Demon not gonna get spotted either. Will get the opportunity to swing off of their tailwind, and they find the first blood as well. Vader's getting barraged by double shock darts. This is such a great opening.
Oh, now poor minion wide. Stuck. At the box seen by the Recon Bolton, finished off by Demon on the final 2 remaining players. Last bastion of hope for OC Eagles in this pistol round as to win out in a 2v5. And by the way, Baker Swarm has taken no damage from any player. Shadow's gonna go ahead, lend out their hand from the knife right there. They grab 1 against the insane Demon, but that's all they're gonna be able to grab. Baker Swarm sliding through that pistol round with relative ease.
Yeah, I thought for a second we were going to see some magic out of the 2 remaining players, right? Nice double coordination, but just again, 3 players staring down the bomb or the spike that's been dropped inside of B main. A little bit difficult to recover and rebound with less than a minute left. So attempt from the Eagles to pick into Icebox, falling short for the pistol round so far. A quick buy up from the Eagles. And this is what you're as well going to see again with your Jet, is this Outlaw. That's what, like, when the Outlaw came out, this was the map to Outlaw on, and I think it still is in the new meta.
The best part about it is, right, you're going to put the Recon Bolt right there up and early. Demon's not going to leave this angle, but they had to be ready for Shadow. It's so quick. Lightning speed from Demon. And a clean headshot, too, on top of that, just to add the insult to injury.
Yeah, that quick scope, again, one of the duelists dealt with. Then trying to recover that space here. Going with the literal devil, or we should say the one doing their bidding, the Demon. And they might even get another opportunity.
Oh my gosh, they're playing on fire right now. The first shot, second shot, neither connecting, but enough of a warning signal for Zin. They gotta be so judicious. They can hear the reload too of Demon. They know they're on the ground, and they know one more player is on screens. But she's still having that poke and prod across the rest of the map. The other 2 players over on the B site be met with a firepower, but as long as Vader can land those shots, and that's what we're talking about, right? The feast or famine agent for the poor OC Eagles there in the midst of a famine.
And I liked the idea there, right? Keep your initiator over towards A, send the dart to indicate the players there, and they did, but the spike was so late behind that even though they gained all that space off the toxic screen, it didn't matter. Now your main 2 players are divided, where one's going to be in the heroic position.
Spike down B.
Zin knows. Yeah, Demon has to be there. Thankfully, Fate gonna pick up the slack on that, and Baker Swarm using only 2 players in each of these rounds. A brilliant way to go into your anti-eco.
What is this buy coming out from the Eagles? It's not even rifles. Like, was it because they bought up the sheriffs? That's my only real thought process here. I mean, you have a Stinger and 2 Guardians instead of full SMGs, full rifles. This is dangerous here for Baker Swarm to be able to snowball on your map pick. I mean, look at how hefty their bonus is, right? And you also have the 2 players that have rifles with light shields. That's prime outlaw territory too.
Yeah, and Demons in mid. They're gonna push out of tube. Waiting for the right moment. It doesn't even matter though, because Riceball is gonna grab first blood. A-side already being detrimental to the OC Eagles to try and push. Rebuked by 1 player, and guess what? Second Mini shows their face ripped off. And they even get the spike. Try and go for the second. Mini Demon couldn't quite get out. This is a opening, an opportunity as slim as it may be.
Out 140. Spike recovered though. As a trade-off here for the OC Eagles. A little bit of a rebound towards the B site, but Viper never left. Nami also posted up on the deep snowman angle. And, I mean, we gotta praise Baker Swarm. They know the balance of the A side aggression to AT, despite not playing this map for a while in the officials. And now, we'll see if they can actually prod and finally get a spike plant down here towards the B site, or it's a fake out. They're going back A with the spike.
Yeah, they're going back A with the spike, but Baker Swarm is still occupying a large swath of icebox, right? They're giving up site control to play for the retake, but eventually, right, Germzy is going to come up here. They're 30 seconds, 10 HP. They're going to try and get the spike planted, but the thing that scares me the most, Zobi, they're by themselves. So if they can get this spike down, if they can get away with their life, it's going to set themselves up for so much, but the Molly misses. It's in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Germzy's going to be able to get out of there. But again, 10 HP, he's skirting by the seat of your hands.
I mean, that wasn't even from the Swarm Grenade, that was from the Outlaw shot, so they are definitely lucky to be alive from the geometry fail. But, Recon Bolt, the numbers all favoring Baker Swarm. Let's see what happens.
Gonna be dicey moves here. Shadow, the Guardian, working against them, but that's where Vader has the better weaponry. Oh, Shadow! Didn't look impressive with the first shot on the Guardian, but the final 2 kills were nothing short of brilliance.
An Aim Labs routine over on the A side for Icebox, out of Shadow for sure. Finally a point on the board for the OC Eagles, and what was a disadvantaged post plan as well. It almost felt like the toxic screen from Baker Swarm worked against them, right? There was some disjointment in the columns and the swings, and the players were just mowed down one after another by, again, these double duelists who are confident in holding their own, right? Even if Vader didn't necessarily pull the kills away, they distracted enough for Shadow. And that's the synergy you need between these two to hopefully tie things up to a piece here, but the duo getting aggressive again. An Operator in the 4th round for Demon.
Oh, doesn't even care, right? You're gonna take your 1, get out of there. You're perfectly fine for it. There's still some action happening over towards mid as well. Look at this. Mini's pushing up far. The alarm bot is down, but that's okay because Nami still has protection of this. The alarm bot comes back up. Mini doesn't have anywhere really to go. It's over on the other side of yellow where it's going to be a Viper v Viper battle until the rest of the reinforcements come in to support their controller. But Nami still kind of by themselves. Good news here is that ladder move is going to keep Kitchen safe. Swarm them down. Poison Orb comes up. Throw it down with a snake bite and just get the heck out of there.
That snake bite saves them in more ways than one, right? Prevents the players from getting on site, but they were pinged out by the recon bolt, so you couldn't even get proper line of sight to fire at them. So still a 5v3, make it a 5v2, and Baker Swarm rebounding beautifully as they get full rifles online.
Yep, okay, Mini grabs the first of Mini. And the OC Eagles has to chew their way through, but again, they're running out of time. There's nowhere left for them to go. They don't have enough to make it all the way back to A. They have to plant here on B. And the second they do anything, the second that spike is going to be pinged out, you know that the Baker Swarm squad is going to try and fight back here, and fight back they do. Ladder moves. The 3K to send Baker Swarm into their 3rd round 1.
And again, it's so interesting how Killjoys are played on this map, right? They're more the masters of mid, right? You split your utility between Boiler and a site, and then you rotate and play retake when the primary hold of a Viper, per se, falls. That's exactly what Ladder Moves did when Nami got overwhelmed. They bought enough time for the rotations, and getting a 3-piece as a Sentinel is a nice cherry on a top. So Baker Swarm keeping OC Eagles off their doorstep for the time being, starting to strengthen the money versus its OC Eagles here. Calling in for Vader and the hero rifle to get the job done.
Okay, Shadow, Knive's gonna be popped too. Again, seeing some of that drone to clear out B main. Not much signs of life gonna be found here. Wall's gonna drop back down. Meanwhile, looking over towards Snowman, you have Sova, you have Viper. 2 players over in that direction, but an alarm bot on side along with a swarm grenade. Anyone who tries to plant there is gonna be in for a world of hurt. Fortunately for Shadow, none of the knives are gonna get a kill, so fortunately the Blaze Storm's just gonna be a small drizzle in the rain. Now Shadow in the back lines, and this is looking good. Coordinated, just swarm into that backside, get rid of Snowman. And Demon, you may be insane with that operator, but how much insanity can we get?
You got the blades online as well if you're worried. I mean, now you're in the 1v4. It had to be the ace clutch with a second down, 3 more strikes to go, and it'll be home run. They're waiting, trying to punish OC Eagles in the aggression, but we went from a coordinated aggressive play into proper discipline here. Nobody taking the additional fights except for you. Don't want them to save the operator, so you allocate an additional player to reflank, and Germsy with that Vandal does it perfectly. The thrifty, the celebration, and OC Eagles again not letting things get out of hand.
This is good, right? We're still grinding our teeth against each other. You could get the feeling that Baker Swarm was winning out a majority of these rounds, right? It was 2 in a row, then lose out on the bonus, then win the next one, and it feels like they've been in control for so long. But the OC Eagles, that was brilliant in the way that they just push over towards that backside, knowing that they have the weaker weaponry, just steamroll them with the numbers that you do have. Demon set back over up here on B main. See if the number's gonna work for Eagles this time.
Oh, what a proactive drone. It's gonna keep the players alive. It's taking out the main threat that Baker Swarm had to offer for that round. Talked about how neither team was really in the safe zone for economy, and showing, again, rearing its ugly heads. Ladder move. What do you got here?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, they don't know.
Oh my gosh. They sneak through. Someone knows that Mini's here, but take a couple of shots from the Classic, you're fine.
Wait a
making
minute.
sure that Kitchen's gonna be safe, but get down over onto the other side. The Bulldog had a little bit of fight to match his part, but nowhere near enough to stop them down from here. See if the right click's gonna be good enough. Mini skirting by on 3 HP and a dream. Meanwhile, the rest of the OC Eagle Shadow gently sailing over onto the high ground, or seeing the final player, the final roadblock onto this round for a tied 1. They get it back up, but it's nowhere near enough. OC Eagles tying up Icebox 3-3.
A flawless nightmare there on Tanami. And now the ults come in, right? This is going to be a good round. And I think that's why Baker Swarm is taking a timeout here. Dumbbell stepping back into the ring to get their word in. Because this is where, okay, I talked about Baker Swarm had the potential to snowball, right? If they didn't lose to a thrifty, right? But this is OC Eagles' opportunity now, right? If Baker Swarm lose this round, like from the ultimates that OC Eagles have, it'll be Baker Swarm on another eco round. It's gonna be, you know, probably like a 5th or a 6th for OC Eagles. And again, this is their map pick for the Eagles. But Baker Swarm, if they can get off the gate early, if they can start trending towards a 2-0, that's definitely what they want for the evening.
No, absolutely. Try to upset things here. I like what we saw from Baker Swarm. The lighter buy tried to play this proactive, aggressive push out through each of the sites. It was just, again, you're doing it one by one, one at a time. And with the way that OC Eagles have been playing, took a couple of rounds for them to get there to warm up. But once they did, this is the team that we know and love. This is a team that is really showing us what they're capable of. And especially for Vader, who came online in that last round, a 3K. Talking about that Reina question mark. It's still a long way to go, right? But the question mark's starting to become a little less of a question, more of a, okay, all right, respect.
You know, it's definitely like, even though they're running like this more aggressive composition, they're very thorough and intentional in what they're doing, right? And very like picking up on recognizing Baker Swarm's tactics as well really quickly and adjusting off of it, right? Whether it was the eco push through the toxic screen on the B site, whether it was again waiting out that aggression from Baker Swarm and reacting to it. One thing they can never overcome, though, is Demon with this operator. 2 kills on the round already. Ladder moves, I said it, the master of mid. And now you're down to a 2v5. Oh! They know, Zen.
Just a classic. Just a classic. Just a classic. Wait. Okay, all right. I thought that was going to go in a different direction. But now Mini's going to have to come back, win out the 1v5, get the spike, do whatever they can to win this round. But my word, it's still Demon over here. And that's what you're going to have to fight. That's what you're going to have to win. And that's just the first of Mini. For Mini. Yeah. Shot goes wide, but doesn't matter. Mini's location's been pinged out. They know where this Viper is. The rest of the squad's coming back through, blinded by the KO flashbang from over on top, then denied any ability usage. All right, this is a good start for Mini, but again, right, it's the entire squad, the firing troop, and they know this. They just get the heck out of there and try to play for greener pastures on A, or maybe fool them out with the wall on B. This is a crazy maneuver here, Mini, but Baker Swarm is not buying into that. They're not buying into this tomfoolery. They're over here. As long as he can win this,
Wow.
Doesn't matter. Demon with a 4K. Baker Swarm in the lead.
A timeout does good here, but also Seagulls didn't really get the opportunity to use any of these ultimates, right? The big ones like the lockdown, like the Empress, were taken out from literal seconds into the round. So I think the biggest thing for me personally from the Eagles is that they only have one initiator, right? So, and that's what this double duelist is for, is for contact engagements. But you have to have your Sova, you have to have Zen be on point in terms of locating this operator so you can play around it, because it is clearly the biggest threat, and you are about to run into it yet again towards the B site.
This scares me too, right? You're leaving Demon, by the way, on B alone. This is how confident that Baker Swarm is in this jet to defend this site. The shots are just not connecting. They're not landing where they need to go. They see the tip of the bow from the Sova, but able to get out of there in time. Demon's still alive. Now we're going to have the KJ lockdown put forth. Instead, play over towards Snowman. Better opportunities over here, maybe. Spikes are going to be planted, but Germsy over on the high ground, just enough to be seen over there. Now Zen needs to play for safer opportunities, but Vader beheads Demon. Operator gone.
Yeah, they pushed up into heaven there. That was a really nice play when you realize, okay, from the jet killing the Killjoy, that they were tucked away in Snowman. Now this deep control, they're almost getting surrounded here, and Mini's been spotted up by the alarm bot. These players have to move faster for the side of Baker Swarm, and now they know one's in kitchen, or they should have. Did they not realize the alarm bot was?
Oh, that's not good. Wait. As long as the snake bite lands where it needs to, Nami's defusing, but it's not enough. It's on the edge of the snake bite. The poison, the venom coursing through Nami is not enough to take them down, getting the defuse, and keeping Baker Swarm firmly in the lead.
And that's why Viper's not getting picked anymore. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I mean, the Molly lands and it still doesn't buy you the round. Like, it's so difficult. But what I want to point out there is that the alarm bot went off in kitchen. Like, they should have known that somebody was there. So that miscommunication there from Baker Swarm, maybe some indications of, okay, if we can get in some of these wonky positions as the Eagles are, they may be able to hold on to a post plant even longer. I mean, that's almost as good as you could have asked for OC Eagles, right? The lockdown gets you deep site control, and they still lost the round. So, okay, maybe I was about to say attack op?
Battle of the operators. Oh, wait a minute, but you're going up against Demon. They picked accurately. They know where they want to be. Drone, please, for the love of God. Instead, it's going to be Zin sacrificing their life to figure out where this operator is. Now, Demon just plays off. They got their one. Now they set up to go for another opportunity here. And what's even worse is Germsy has fallen over towards mid. It's again, Demon has a relentless force of nature.
And I mean, what can I say? I was praising Zed in the proactive drone usage, right? On the Thrifty round that they won. On the Bladestorm round, right? Where Demon pushed down the garden. And they haven't used that drone early ever since. And like, why are you dry swinging that sort of angle when you know there's an operator in play? Like, they need to be darting close, they need to be droning out, like, sight, and they're doing none of that. I mean, Demon is 17-5, and like, the majority of these kills are from this operator. They've yet to find a counter to it. It's always been kind of one-for-one trades here, even when Demon's missing shots, right?
Oh, see, there we go. See, there we go. Now, Demon, they're not scared. They're not leaving here. It's a good opportunity for them to just jump around, pull out the Bladestorm, take over on that high ground, but you're hearing all of the footsteps coming in your direction. You know, Shadow's here on site. Unfortunately for Demon, the Bladestorm not going to be good enough for them. Jet now for Shadow coming online in massive ways, not blinded out by the flashbang, but doesn't matter. With Fate landing that headshot, Germsy's going to get rid of this KO, who's still inside their ultimate. So denied that opportunity, but Germsy's going to get the revenge on ladder moves. A 4v1 for Nami.
2 players, low HP here, but yeah, I mean, you know where Germsy is now that they finished the KO off. But again, there's so many angles, right? The repositions with that higher HP players taking the first contact here. Double swing OC Eagles, not letting any loose ends slip through this round. Might be 6-4, but OC Eagles is trying to rally tally until they get to 6-6 here on Icebox.
And this is what OC Eagles needed, right? They found out where the jet was. They used their Sova drone to figure out what was going on. They ulted, and what do? They press the W key and they don't stop. If you give Baker Swarm that opportunity for either Demon to get that first blood or for the rest of the squad to reinforce each other, the OC Eagles just collapse. And this is what we're talking about with that aggressive double duelist. They need to push and they need to go fast.
It looks like they try to replicate that success over towards A as well. Demon again forced off the angle. Looks like maybe it was a little bit of a mistake there, but they get the reposition regardless. The dart goes in, but they just disrespect it anyways.
No way. Second PC, Demon. That's ridiculous. And they're still alive and they still get more mileage out of this operator. The wall is still up. Sim's gonna have to be ready for that. Good peek though. Keeps them alive and another opportunity to take this fight. Couple of shots here. Once it goes out, they're ready to go back in and take another one over here. The shorty. Vader's having the time of their life right now, but as long as they can keep the train rolling. Fortunately, the train had some brakes. That's going to stop them now. Zen sees no other opportunity but then to just try and fight it out here on the high ground, but it doesn't matter. Baker Swarm looking up to the heavens above.
Operator recovered. The fuse secured. I questioned the use of the lockdown, but it almost went awry regardless of its investment. So, fair. I mean, you're down to the last 2 rounds of the half. Might as well invest it now to get that advantage, to get that 7. Maybe even an 8th now, if they're able to snowball. And, I mean, I still gotta reflect, Fate's Flash saved Zen's life, right? They were about to commit to the swing into the operator, and because they get blinded, they tuck back. And that's the reason why Zen was even given that opportunity. I mean, they're struggling this map a little bit, but 7-4, not bad. I mean, we haven't even talked about it. Do you think, Sam, this map's more attack or defense sided?
Oh, defender sided.
Okay.
That's always my feel when it comes to this map. Ooh, Nami. Aggressive push up to try and put down the Viper's pit. Demon just knows though, right? Every single time. That was a good wide swing though that Demon couldn't track fast enough with the operator, and it keeps Vader alive to fight another evening here. And even more so, Germsy winning out in the mirror matchup yet again. That her moves being taken out. It gives him more free reign of the side on top of that. Flashbang over the top, but did they realize how close Vinny was? No, they do not. Numbers advantage given over to the Eagles.
Finally a lethal whiff. You talked about a Demon nose? No, that was the plan all along. Viper pit on the alternative site to force them into the rotation towards B. What's interesting is this is not the first time OC Eagles have tried to sell a fake and rotated. And as a result, because of the Viper letting the pit drop, they thought they rotated off through spawn to B. No, they pushed through. And now you're forced to recoil, rebound, capitalize off of the Killjoy positioning that Germsy gained off of that mirror matchup you mentioned, Sam. Again, there's 30 seconds left. If this spike dies in transit, it's difficult with 30 seconds left.
Okay, this is
30 seconds left.
Scary moment. Fate has a lot on their shoulders, so they can get Vader here. It's gonna be a massive victory, and that it is. It's gonna force the hand of the Viper to play outside of their pit and try to go and pick up that spike. There's not gonna be a lot of time to make that happen. Meanwhile, on the flank, Nami's gonna catch Germsy. There's no opportunity here for Mini. They gotta take this fight. They gotta get rid of the KO inside the kitchen, but they cannot do it. Baker Swarm, an 8-4 first half is theirs.
Well, if you said it's defense sided, 8-4 is definitely what Baker Swarm wanted here. And I mean, I literally laid out what could go wrong for OC Eagles there, and it all went wrong, right? From Fate sticking around them, finding the Reyna in transit with the spike. Ooh. It's difficult, but again, if this is truly defense-sided, even with the double duelist, which I think this is a map that kind of, like, rewards, right? If you have the double duelist together, like, pressuring a certain part of the map. But, I mean, Baker Swarm looks so prepared right now. I mean, look at the setup they have just for a pistol round. I thought the KO was about to, like, deep knife mid, and then suddenly, you know, where the Reyna is and the Sova is, but let's see what the pistol looks like.
I'm excited for this. Hey, also, too, when talking about the defense, right? I mean, you have Demon going 18-8. That's tough not to feel the impact of that. Vader's been seen. Gonna go ahead and play safe, get out of tube, and play for the life, keep the pistol round alive. Demon over on the high ground is gonna take a couple of shots from the turret, but nowhere near enough to really scare them away from this high ground position either. But more shots. There we have it. A bloodbath in mid, but it's still going to be Baker Swarm pushing their way through.
Wow.
Try as they might. Zin can't land the shots. Fate still alive, continuing the pressure that they had from the previous round. Slow down on the plant of the spike. Vader's going to push forward. Seen by the alarm bot. Comes down to the 3v2. Push forward, Vader. Red yellow. Get rid of one of the swarm grenades. You still got to take down the rest of the squad. You have your dismiss. You have your devour, but it's not going to be good enough nearly to do anything here. Hate is an insane player. Get some of that health back up. You're going to need it. Take on the 2v1 you find yourself in.
Again, not taking any chances here. Buying down the clock. And Rice Ballin gets the perfect timing as well. Just cap off the round to get the 9-4 to start dashing the hopes of OC Eagles and fans for a comeback. And now, I mean, I was about to say, if you were getting a Phantom there, Faye, you talked about them being a good player, that would be like the confidence swelling to a peak. So they go the safer route. Demon, no Outlaw, I was about to say. Interesting here. They go for the Bulldog. This is like a buy where they want to snowball after getting double digits type beat. And I mean, the stack towards the B side incorrect here as well. Like, this is a little scary.
More than a little scary, right? This is the stuff horror stories are written about. Oh, poor Zen too. Suppressed by the knife. You know, one player was pushed up. At the very least, this gives Baker Swarm some pause about pushing forward. But look at this double stack, this high-low stack, one on the boat, one on below the ground beneath it, to see anyone who's pushing out of B. Not gonna happen just yet. The rest of the group is back in. Look at that 3-stack death ball.
Yeah, this is literally Baker Swarm taking like the eco play, right, that OC Eagles did on their attack and trying to translate into what they could do on the defense, and they handle it. Every alternate they were prepared for, right? The mass 5-stack that could have gone B main. The thing they aren't prepared for is Vader with the Bucky, but again, with a dismiss, you can only get out with one, and you have 35 HP as well. Oh wow, the high load disbands just before the Viper peaks too. That's crazy.
And the big problem that Vader is running into, 35 HP. It's nowhere near enough to do anything, and scared enough to pull out the classic. The wall's gonna come back up, but there's not enough juice left in that thing to really stall things out for very long. Vader heard the reload. They know they're pushing back into here. There's no more time to do anything left but to take this fight. And instead of playing into it, Vader, oh, they're gonna try and go up through the flank. The unprotected side here. If they get the one, try to go for the dismiss. That's where Mini lands the headshot. Time running against them. Spike defused, but Ladder Move's gonna play it safe to get the spike planted. And by themselves, Mini needs to win the 1v2 with just a sheriff to their name.
And I again, Baker Swarm like to play safe. They like to play time. They like to play off-site when possible. But this is gonna allow Mini to recover a weapon likely from backside after clearing out all these close angles here. And that is a scary prospect. I mean, Vader threw their life away, so this clutch could come into fruition, but they know where they are now. Only one bullet left in the Sheriff. Again, this is frustrating when no one is giving you an inch. Oh!
It's a good try.
Yeah. I mean, that's damaging. We talked about how Baker Swarm forced into that, right? 3 Bulldogs, I think, a Guardian, right? Like, this is crazy that they're forcing up here again instead of bonusing because they can't bonus. So I think this is the best case scenario you could ask for if you were OC Eagles on your second round, other than winning it, right? So now OC Eagles just have to win this, and if they don't, then they're broke. Then it's likely a 12 for Baker Swarm. So let's cross that bridge first, right, Sam? How do they win this round?
My guess is, right, they're gonna put Demon pedal to the metal, go crazy with the Bucky, flashbang over the top. There's a recon bolt there, but Vader, oh my God, but it's traded out immediately by Fate. These are the moments, right, where Baker Swarm has to fill in the holes on the sinking ship, and that's a phenomenal way to go about doing it. He's gonna get a couple of pings out from the recon drone, but Germsy falling in mid. That's disastrous, and this is the Baker Swarm win that they need.
Oh, it's not done just yet. Still a 4v3, still over a minute left. The recollection, the repivot from Baker Swarm over towards B. And this is where Mini, we saw them get proactive on the eco while they're doing it here yet again. Trying to clear out these angles, trying to get more information for the team. And the fact that they haven't heard footsteps, they haven't seen anything because Baker Swarm was going mid here is a dangerous game. Now the players for the Eagles are kind of splitting up and you get your first audio cue here, but they've gone under tunnel. What is the timing going to look like between Mini and Zen?
It's going to have to be...
What?
Ladder moves is deposited inside of Kitchen. He can play for a crazy maneuver here, but Mini still has the guys of their cover under lockdown. Meanwhile, Vader's clearing everything they can out through mid. Seen and detected, though. Slow them down. The poison orb's going to come up. Or on the other side, it's going to be that decay orb. And it's going to corral them inside of Kitchen. Ladder knows where they're coming from. Pull out your weapon, Vader, for goodness sake. That's all down to the shoulders of Mini. A 1v3. The recharge shield's going to come back up. The high-low, again, the numbers proving too much for this poor Viper. Baker Swarm getting through.
There was a world where they found that second transfer on Anami, but it's not this one. And what's so difficult about that round is OC Eagles played under the impression that Baker Swarm was going to do the same thing they've been doing. Get the spike down, get off site to play post. That's why I think Mini stuck around so long in Garden, right? They expected the players to, again, fall off site, and then they could strike. They never did, though. They kept that mid space, that mid pressure, and as a result, all that potential never got converted. And Baker Swarm find their 11th. They have a null command. OC Eagles is broke. It's getting dire, Sam.
Yeah, this is rough sales for OC Eagles. Almost got that much more trepidatious. Vader's pushed up close. And you're still seeing, right, Shadow trying to be that tip of the spear for the squad. And it's good enough to actually scare Baker Swarm away into the waiting arms of Mini. But that's the problem, right? Now they know that the Viper is here. The entirety of Baker Swarm is about to live up to their name and swarm over this and throw in the null command. Mini can't do anything. They can't even pull up their smokes. They're just gonna have to take the fights as best they can. But when you're being run down, Germsy's gonna have to step up to the plate like that. This time, though, let's see if Baker Swarm is gonna realize that someone is coming up through the flank from that alarm bot.
They're lucky they weren't stripped away there, you'd tell. You know, one is at least flanks. You're gonna try and fight away from that. But Germsy, again, so good with this share. Finds a trade. Makes it down to the 1v2, but Ladder moves on for a 4-piece. They hear the drop down from Vader as they recover the weapon and use it to get OC Eagles around on the board to deny the inevitable 12th that Baker Swarm seemed to be staring down. I mean, now 2 out of 5 rounds have been thrifties from the Eagles.
Yeah, that's it's a supply line, right? It's a lifeline that's keeping OC Eagles in this game. It's 2 away for the Baker Swarm victory, and right, you're thinking about what happened in that round. It was Shadow pretty much by themselves was enough to send OC Eagles reeling back over onto the B site. And that's even bigger victory too. You got rid of Fate's ultimate. You got rid of the null command. There's still the issue of ladder moves lockdown, but that's still something, a grander silver lining here for the OC Eagles to be able to work with and potentially push them forward into more rounds 1.
I mean, Germany's Heroics has them one off of lockdown as well. And you supplement that with a Viper's Pit over towards the B site, you're finally going to force the respect on Mini's name and their hold of this B site. That's going to start limiting the options of Baker Swarm. Unless they want to, honestly, how confident would it be if they use the lockdown to clear out the Viper's Pit?
That would be...
You just drop it in deep garage and suddenly it's just an ult trade?
I'd be okay with that, honestly. Just going through there, Nami poking their head out. Oh, seen though by Shadow. Nami's not going to take any chances. Don't play with fire. Don't play against this jet. Regroup with the team. Play for your life. Don't want to trip up at the final 2 rounds that you need to get to the victory line.
This is interesting. It finally feels like OC Eagles is stalling out Baker Swarm. They haven't really come to a conclusion, a decision yet, and they're not going to find any information off of that KO knife either. So they just, again, they didn't get through the Viper's Pit. They're leaning towards A, which, interestingly enough, right, when you have a Viper's Pit over towards B, you'd hope to have the stack on A. That knife just threw a wrench into things. So you've left Vader here alone. Yeah, you have the jet nearby. Oh, but they util.
Nice. Still got to make sure they get away from the lockdown. Don't die to that. Don't get caught by that. We're on the high ground, but yeah, Vader's not going to be able to get out. Doesn't matter regardless. You sacrifice 2 for 2 to make this happen. Nami's going to get the spike planted down to the corner. The swarm grenade is going to eat ladder moves alive. Now it's Zin to step up to the plate along with Mini, but guess what? They have the flank. Now up comes the wall. You gotta realize they're over here on the other side, right? As long as Zin can just play for timing here, but it's the judge! Zin, the perfect swing, and the headshot that needed to be landed. OC Eagles stepping confidently into their 6th round 1.
Yeah, that little jump was 1 for info, but 2 for distraction, right? I mean, Mini had a judge, right? That wasn't gonna get the job done from long range, and as they flick to Mini, Zen also commits to the swing. Like, that was played as beautifully as you could have hoped for in the 1v2 situation when Mini's on the flank with a judge. I mean, talk about holding on. We talk about the lifeline that was supplied. Now it's been doubled. The biggest obstacle is going to be, again, the safe harboring of these massive ultimates, right? Like, lockdown, null command, those got expressed early. They were just trying to, you know, get the job done, get a 12th, get a safe OT. Now the expectation is you're going to use maybe these 3 ults together if you're Baker Swarm.
And peep the Vader operator, right? The Reyna op. Good opportunity here for this Reyna to show off what they're made of. Eyes are going to be on mid. Mini is still going to occupy that territory.
What?
Let Vader fizzled out like a candle in the wind. Up comes the one-way here. Mini's not going to get saved from the knife. And over on the other side is going to be the recon bolt on top of that. Try to slow them down. Try to stall it out with the Hunter's Fury from mid through Zin. But again, Baker Swarm is just going to play patient. They're just going to play their time. They may even just play it back out here. All of OC Eagles is on this side, except for Zin.
Yeah, I mean, that Hunter's Fury did connect. It got 2 players down, 1 HP respectively, and I mean, they don't have that force then to continue pushing through the B site when you know the rotations are coming through. They have to hope to get a timing to get the spike down safely, so they have a good post-plant opportunity, which I think is why they've grouped up now here over towards mid, but the timing...
You have to know, right? Latimus has no HP. It had to have been a headshot or nothing. And it is nothing. Over on the other side, Mini's still here. They could go for the spike plant, but Nami's gonna fall immediately to that. Now it's poor Rice balling by themselves. They may have gotten a fancy new weapon, but fancy moves are all Mini's territory. A 3K here, and the OC Eagles fighting like their life is on the line.
Yeah, I mean, a timeout's definitely needed here. I mean, the only thing that went right that round really was the Killjoy finding the kill onto Vader, who was opping mid. After that, it all started to crumble around Mini, and again, the behold that needs to be feared by the bees, and it just hasn't been. So, I do think A, or like a mid-exploit, is the best bet for Baker Swarm. That's what we've seen work for them. But the Eagles are doing a great job just toughing it out, getting round after round again. Playing the win cons of this comp, you know, looking for the early kills. If it doesn't go your way, I think the rotations have been good. They haven't really fallen into any of the tricks that Baker Swarm have been supplying, other than I think the one round that I mentioned, they kind of overstuck behind the Viper's pit as they went A. And even then, just the util dumpage is what kind of saved them there and brought it to that 1v2 we talked of.
Impressed though from the OC Eagles, right? There's not a lot of margin of error for them to keep themselves going, but they've managed to put up an impressive showing, especially after a rocky start on their defensive half. And I'm sure for Baker Swarm right now, it's all about figuring out where our ultimates are going to be used appropriately. Where do we want to get this Viper's Pit done? Where does Rice Ball want to use this Hunter's Fury? Do we want to exchange it for Germsy's lockdown when they try to push back on side? It's all about keeping them alive, keeping them going, and keeping this momentum that seems to have shifted away from Baker Swarm back into the OC Eagles camp or something of that sort. Anyways, OC Eagles still putting up the fight, still getting those rounds in a row, and it's just step by step.
Oh, Vader wants a second opportunity with the op as well. Respects the Sova util. I mean, they used their own util just to get Vader a line of sight here. Now, I mean, that's been thwarted, but the quick scope and the dismiss out. Oh my goodness, Vader keeps getting away with this no matter what the weapon.
I can't believe, I'm in shock and awe too. It didn't even look like the quick scope happened. That's how quick it was. Vader had the tiniest, the most minute proportions here, and now they're gonna make sure they keep this flank protected. Take your time with those shots, and they line up perfectly like that. Here comes the Hunter's Fury finally. Vader putting on the 3K, getting on show for the ace. Maybe a potential opportunity here. Nope, Zin's gonna make sure that doesn't happen, but who really cares at this point? Brilliant shot from Rice Ball, and it's a 1v3 though that they need to win, and as long as they can isolate the ones, a possibility here, but ooh, they're backing off. That's gonna be a full rundown from OC Eagles. Oh, and they're hearing the footsteps in kitchen.
They've been silent and doing their job. Now it's their chance to take the spotlight. Can they remember their lines?
high ground. Ooh, okay, good first shot. This is what we're talking about. Isolate those ones. You know that they're not here anymore. The recon bolt over on the other side. Riceball is just going to plant the spike on bridge, too. Find safe harbor inside of kitchen. Maybe no drop down to the ground below. Right. Into the waiting arms of Mini. OC Eagles. A timeout is not going to stop this team. The rounds are getting thinner. The margins are getting narrower and narrower.
I mean, I'm still hung up on the bold read that Mini was like main or yellow, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, Mini's like been flanking like almost every round of the post plant, right? Or tucked away main while you're having site control, but dang, if they had just tucked away safely right in kitchen, held one angle, that could have been very different. That could have been the 12th. Now, like you mentioned, again, it's back to this lethargic cycle of save, buy, even the timeout couldn't spare them. And I mean, at this point, are they even gonna have another ult cycle to get through before OC Eagles catch up?
The good news here, too, is the Hunter's Fury's been taken out, so the Eagles have free reign to use that lockdown. Speaking of lockdown, A-Site pretty much in that territory. Shadow, quick peek. Gonna rip the head right off of Nami's shoulders. Now for Baker Swarm, right? You've lost your Viper. There's the Viper's Pit to go along with it. But Guardian v Operator? That seems to be Vader's kryptonite.
There we go. Maybe finally. You don't have any smokes, but you got the raid boss themselves out early on. This is an interesting call as well for OC Eagles to stack over towards B. Right? And trust in the Killjoy over towards A. Expect Vickerstorm to make a change, and I mean, when you are expecting a fight, you're ready to fight back.
I like this though, right? You get the numbers advantage. Shadow sees it with the tailwind. Nose ladder moves is in B main. It's just on the other side of Garage, but they have the spike, right? Play the numbers, play the timings that you have, and don't lean into it. That's a good idea to use the recon drone too, but Shadow's not going to peek. They're not going to lose their head. They're not going to lose their mind. They're not going to lose their cool. Because this gives OC Eagles 2 more rounds to go before Icebox is tied up.
Wow. And it's another eco round. Baker Swarm, they have one more timeout, I believe, yes? I expect them to save it until it's like, okay, OT or loss. Not necessarily, you know, just getting across the finish line here, but talked about Baker Swarm, the ult's 2 off from Hunter's Fury. Ladder moves, I mean, they get 3 pieces here and there, maybe a round or 2 off from the lockdown. They are really gonna take this to the finish line.
It really does feel like that. Certainly does. And he's gonna hear the recon drone over the top. Call's gonna be made. There's the knife as well. A lot of util being dumped in this area. Should be the calling card. Zin is gonna regroup to help their Viper here. It's still gonna be a shot in the dark, but Rice Bowling over on the top through the poison orb is going to remove this Viper and give up a weapon. That's even more disastrous here, but as Nami falls again in mid from Shadow, Baker Swarm is going to be feeling the impact of that massively. But they're also going to be feeling that too, right? The weapon given up.
Zen, nice drone. You know, the recon bolt's about to recharge as well. Lockdown invested. OC Eagles don't want Baker Swarm to get to that 12th, but again, this forward aggression strikes again. Ladder moves, gets a kill, and gets out undetained, unscathed. From the players that were on site here, the tap off the lockdown, still they've gained this control, but you gotta fight back in, and Demon is protecting the team, bodyguarding this Hunter's Fury. So now it's all down to Vader, who again has the operator in hand and might have just made the call to save.
Yeah, they want to hold on to this operator. They want to get another opportunity to use it, especially in the match point for Baker Swarm. This was brilliant, though, from Baker Swarm, right? They know that Mini has been playing forward this entire time, so Util dumped the heck out of them. We saw the Owl Drone go in, then we saw the Recon Bolt, followed it up by the knife, so there was really nowhere for Mini to go, and they knew that they could play into that sort of mind game that Mini wants to take these fights. They know that they had the lighter buy, but Mini's by themselves, so no one was able to trade it out, and that was the whole crux of the problem. Demon picks up that Vandal, and then goes on a tear. Baker Swarm, match point.
Yeah, I think 2 things there, right? When they swap to like a 4 stack on a B side, they're probably not gonna do it the round after. We talked about how we were confused why they kept hitting B when they were losing there. It was just running the same simulation until you found a solution. And I mean, now you've had a solution, you expect them to go B again when they finally found success there, but no. They're gonna head towards A, and Shadow's in such a punishing position if not cleared.
I don't think anyone is going to clear them. Wait a minute, they get full uncontested territory. Someone eventually is going to have to go over on the high ground, right? But there's no tailwind to bail them out of trouble, losing their life to Demon, but they do grab the one at least. It's going to be the KJ. And up goes the Viper's Pit. This is Baker Swarm's territory to win.
I mean, pit active. You know, Mini is late on the rotate because they were staying in their own pit here. I mean, now you know Germsy is close. Like, they have everything they need here if the Viper stays alive. And Nami's the deepest player here. That's a little scary.
Oh, that was really scary, right? Germsy's just gonna spray and pray through the smoke, through the Viper's Pit. And they're gonna stay safe in the recon bolt. Everybody's gonna go in. Vader on the other side. Nami flicks back over to the head of Germsy. Comes out on the end. The snake bite's there, but not safe from Vader. The pit's gonna fall, but now we gotta make sure to clear out Demon on this angle. And they are looking devastating, to say the least. Now it's in by themselves over on the high ground. Come in with a shorty to make it look flashy. Baker Swarm taking map 1 of Icebox, 13-9.
It may have been delayed, but not avoided. Baker Swarm is stealing away OC Eagles map pick after an 8-4 half starts and almost crumbled into a 13-9 close out there. I mean, it took them a while, but it definitely did feel like they were just trying to download, adjust. I mean, it's been a while since you played Icebox as well, so the calls from your IGL again are going to come a little bit slower as they realize, okay, what's the pacing on this map? How can we get back through, right? Like, you got to get those reps in, and if you weren't scrimming it thoroughly, maybe you weren't expecting the team to pick it either, right? Because it did just come back in for their first round. I think this was a phenomenal showing, all things considered.
No, it really was. Both teams were giving us a grand showing of what they're capable of when it comes to Icebox. And I mean, right, you give it over to the OC Eagles. They did put Baker Swarm against the wall there for a second, but look at that. The Demon is just playing on another level. 357 ACS with 7 first bloods, but Vader trying as desperately as they can to match this Jet. Just feels like Demon was playing on another dimensional plane.
Yeah, I mean, they were so close here, like, statistically, minus the ACS. Like, I agree, right? Demon was insane with the op on defense, so was Vader. Which is kind of surprising since Shadow picked up the attack off, if you remember back, to try and counter Demon, and that also didn't work here. But I really think it came down to the support that we saw Baker Swarm receiving, right? Ladder moves was always behind them, having this additional like effect. We talked about how that dynamic duo had to be unlocked, but it was actually Fate supporting the Jet, or supporting Demon on Baker Swarm more than anything. And I hope that we can see then that that synergy that we saw on some of the thrifty rounds from OC Eagles going into map 2 of Split.
Well, we're going to have to find out how map 2 of Split is going to be, Zobi, after a short little break. So don't go anywhere, right? This could be the exciting conclusion of this matchup, or we could be going to map number 3 of Lotus. Crazy map number 1 of Icebox went 13-9 in the favor of Baker Swarm, but the OC Eagles still have another chance on Split, Zobi.
This is so true, and this is a map where both teams have a lot more reps than a map just entering the pool, right? OC Eagles currently 1-0 on it, and Baker Swarm, this is kind of one of their better maps, being 2-1 on it here. And they've also, though, I'm curious to see, been kind of adjusting as well, like switching up what controller they play. They want to go more aggressive or more stable here. Whereas OC Eagles, again, they're just kind of playing the newer meta with the Tejo, so I'm curious to see how this is going to fare, especially when I talked about Baker Swarm and how KO Fate was supporting the duelist so well. Well, now take them as the secondary duelist. Ooh. Fate probably going to be on the Yoru here, Demon on the Raze, which I am very excited to see, but OC Eagles are the one in the hot seat, Sam. So what do they got to do?
What do they got to do? Well, let me tell you here, Zobi. My idea is that they need to make sure that they're fueled up, that they're ready to go, that they're keeping the
I agree.
Keeping the blood sugar levels high. So we go and take a look at Wenzel Farm, one of our amazing sponsors. They're gonna fuel their game with Wenzel's Farm snack sticks. No mess, no distractions, just bold, protein-packed flavor to keep you locked in. Whether you're grinding ranked or leading the squad, Wenzel's keeps you powered up. Grab a stick, stay in the game, crush the competition. Wenzel's Farm, fuel for gamers, flavor for champions. And hey, that's if they're looking for that champion spot, right? OC Eagles, they better be buying up the Wenzel snack sticks all that they can, because again, less like you're saying, they're in the hot seat. They need to somehow transplant what they were finding success with on Icebox and bring it here onto Split.
Yeah, I mean, right? Like it's a hard map to try and figure out, right? They banned out Pearl, so then they got like they couldn't ban out any of the good picks because again the map pools overlap for these two teams so heavily, and it's exactly what I mentioned to you, right? The Yoru Raze combination coming in. Interesting though, no Taeho from OC Eagles here. This feels like maybe they just want to, like, Vader's maybe shooting more than Shadow is today. They don't feel comfortable being a solo duelist here. Also, I did say they only played Split once, so maybe they weren't completely sold on the composition they were running there. A lot of question marks here to see exactly what this kind of, I'm gonna call it an old comp, right? This is like Split of old, right? The double duelist. I'm curious to see how it's gonna fare against then the new double duelist meta.
I do want to touch on briefly, real quick, the Nami Clove choice, because again, that was another agent that went through the round of nerfs and buffs. Big nerf though, right, for Nami and for that Clove. The speed buff duration that comes from their overheal has been reduced from 8 to 3 seconds, right? So they still get the majority of their overheal. They don't get to keep the speed boost for as long, and so that takes away some of the dueling power from Clove. But now the walls go down. Baker Swarm. Oh, it's the entire squad on the other side. In goes the Yoru clone. They're going to try and break it, but now you're going to be slowed down by the fault line on the other side. The duelists are safe. OC Eagles are still alive. Baker Swarm just decides, nah, that's good. We're going to wait here for a little bit.
Yeah, that is so interesting. Baker Swarm, that entire routine, that entire default was poised for destroying Cypher util over towards B. But the Cypher was playing split util mid and A. So all they did was just kind of split these players and allow a plan B for OC Eagles to be deployed, which is this triple stack fighting it down mid. Ladder moves, what you got?
Dude, they got, whoa, ladder moves. Got one. That's all they got. That takes away the Rose at the very least, flashbang them away. And Germsy playing all sight, gonna go for the retake here. In comes another fault line inside of Heaven. Smoke's gonna go down. Germsy has to clear out this close corridor. And he's gonna be in for a world of hurt here in a second. It's Paranoia ready. Demon blinded. Gets over on the other side. Tries to run him down, but that's where Fate keeps their squad alive. Slowed down just for a moment. The double flashbang in from Rice Ballin. Now you had to actually go onto the site itself where Germsy has fallen to Nami. Down on the ground below, it's down to the 2v3.
Ooh.
So low on the HP. Mini tries to adjust themselves for the shot, but it's Fate's 3K. Baker Swarm pistol round.
I mean, that was so chaotic from OC Eagles, but it felt like controlled chaos until the last few moments where Baker Swarm, after they got, right, control over the site. I love the communication between Rice, Ballin, and Nami there, right? Nami, low HP, they group up, they swing to pinch the remaining player of Mini off of Fate's contact as well. Like, just, again, from initial plans falling to counters, and all that in one pistol says a lot about how this map is going to go, but it's not a different outcome from Icebox, where Baker Swarm get off to the right, start here on opposite sides, mind you, and they were going for just as heavy of a buy, but they've lightened it. A Bulldog and 2 Spectres here, actually. Very respectful towards OC Eagles.
Riceballen also didn't get seen by the Sky Flashbang. Out goes Clone. Mini's going to be on the other side. They hear the ultimate orb being picked up too. So not going to play their hand out just that crazy yet. No one peeking out from inside of that smoke, and as it dissipates away, so too is the signs of life from Mini. Couple of shoulder peeks to figure out if someone's going to be on this main approach, and yes, they are. Oh my gosh, Shadow, that's scary. Even for a player such as yourself, the tailwind coming up far too late for them to do anything with.
Yeah, that's interesting. Usually when you're fighting A like that on an eco, it's more than one player. And so then you get like a 2v1 versus the solo Vice, but the rotation comes through at an unfortunate time. Now with Fate lurking, which is the last thing I thought I'd see out of Baker Swarm in this comp, is keeping players over towards B. You're trying to find the solo player, that solo weapon. And so, I mean, the Raze has destroyed all your Cypher util on A. I like the movement here from Eagles, but ladder moves is doing their job. They're watching the flank, right? Like, doesn't feel like OC Eagles is going to find much momentum here unless
Germsy decides to go crazy with that Sheriff again, but yeah, not crazy enough. Vader's going to be seen by the wall as that comes up. All eyes are going to be over on B main. Try as they might, right? That Bulldog is a tough weapon to win with. You only have a Sheriff to your name. And
the realization the one player they found had a deagle too.
Yeah. Oh, poor Vader. You're being bullied right
They're
now.
shaking.
Whoa!
They're quaking.
The shaking doesn't matter. They're still going to land their shots. Clean headshot there. I'll go over on the other side with the satchel pack, but it's really just moving targets. It's like we're playing aim labs right now.
Baker Swarm, keep it clean. I mean, at least Vader was able to find one. At least Germany was able to find one here. But again, they only bought 3 weapons, so they keep it like all the weapons they invested going to this next round. Looks like they've recognized, okay, Cypher isn't on the B site, right? They needed util first round. They had the lurk from Fate up and didn't see any trips in the close proximity here. I think this is a plan to deathball towards the B site. And it looks like the Cypher's not going to have too much util here to counter it, minus a camera. Are they getting the trip up? No, not even a camera. That's even more dangerous now.
Yeah, they're putting the trip in mid, but this gives Fate the opportunity. Dimensional drift all over. You see where Mini is. You're calling them out. They've been caught. They fall line, but they're going to go over on the other side. Germany protects their omen, and they're still holding the line. Try to fight against Germany. You're going to be in for a world of hurt. 4K on track for the ace. One more. Counter moves is going to stop them in there. Ace eyes, but OC Eagles going to take that bonus.
Wow, from the duelist head-to-head in map 1 to maybe an early Sentinel head-to-head here. Counter moves denies the ace, but cannot salvage the round. Germany, I mean, I doubted you when you had no Cypher util on the site, but I didn't realize you were what to be feared. Yeah. Like, no cam, no trips, just them. And that's like what Sentinel is at the core. The ability to hold your own when everybody is deathballing against you. So, OC Eagles, huge turnaround off of heroic play. First round on the board here, and it's just a default from Baker Swarm leaning towards mid.
Okay. Said that trip is still in mid. 4 players now grouped up here. So the Cypher trip is going to be there, but the clone is going to slow things down. Overall, it's still Vader going to have to fight that. Oh, it looked like they were so close to getting out. But falling down gravity, not fast enough, unfortunately. Wall's going to come up here. Shadow's going to play that game. They've seen where that... Oh, what the... Okay, Germzy. Calm down, buddy. All right, we get it. We get it. Really, we do.
Wow, and I mean, they're surrounded here. Maybe you can get crashed to lower mid. Oh, but the Phantom
diff
moment.
Phantom diff.
He's out a lot of moves again.
That's gonna be. You're gonna be feeling that one in the morning. Mini topped off by the sky heal. Look all over the place. Ladder still has something to play with. Not much. I'm gonna be honest here with that one. Gonna go down slowly. Look over towards the high ground. May actually get Shadow here. May. Try as you might.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've seen OC Eagles make adjustments. Baker Storm, I want to say, has gotten more lucky punishing some of the small mistakes, and then they convert that into rounds here. I'm not saying, again, it feels like much like Icebox, where it takes Baker Storm time to like download the opponent on the map and make adjustments. Because right now it feels like what we've seen out of them is very like standard, like based off of the comp OC Eagles is running, which is what we know from OC Eagles, right? This is the comp OC that's been run like historically on Split, right? The double duelist, the Cypher. And you know how to work against it, but OC Eagles is playing it kind of uncharacteristically, and it's been working. I mean, again, they're running into a Cypher site.
Ramsey's having the time of their life. This must be their map. Split is, it feels like a whole different player than what we saw from Icebox. It's almost like a whole different team than what we saw from Icebox. OC Eagles is a flawless round from them. This Germsy's reign of terror is just not ending.
And I mean, what I'm going to say here is exactly what I said from the double duelist comp over on Icebox, locating the operator, right? You don't have info initiator utility here. You can't locate the Cypher like you can locate an operator, and so Germzy remains a threat. And then they get to convert all the potential into frags, into rounds, and now into a lead for OC Eagles. I mean, I said they've played this map before, but now they've made changes, reverted to more of a common stance, and it's working out right now.
Yeah, the Demon's just gonna go fast, right? Try to disrespect all of the Cypher utility. Fast as can be, lightning quick. Throw in on the other side. There's Germzy! You're gonna go toe-to-toe with this Cypher! You better be ready to enter into the ring! How do they keep doing this?
They said I'm not ready. They disengage, they recollect. Gonna double swing hopefully off the clone with Nami. Now Germzy also has a partner. They have the element, and they don't want their ace to get robbed again. It's again the Vice.
It's the Vice. Don't let it happen. Don't take it away. Look at the team, the squad, helping Germzy to ace their way into the legend book.
I mean, Baker Storm, I'm not saying it's too early for a timeout, but might be time for a timeout. Like everywhere they go, they're running into Germzy. They're 15-4. We're at 6 rounds in.
Zobi, they used their ultimate too in that last round. They're already 3 points away from the next one.
Like, this is not good. Like, look at the comp for Baker Swarm. This should be like an attack composition through and through. And I mean, look, they're gonna run into Germzy again. It looks like.
Dog it out.
Unless you go vent.
Yeah, Shadow's not gonna go crazy here. Look at how scared you are if you're Baker Swarm, right? Germzy's been playing an insane game of Valorant. A 4K in the early moments on that bonus. Yeah, we're gonna see if Shadow's gonna win here against ladder moves. They are, and Fate's even been seen by the webcam. Mini is over on the high ground, and Germzy could be playing for the shoulder peak. Meanwhile, Heaven protected by the tripwire, so knowing exactly what's happening here at all times. Anything goes wrong, they'll know. Oh, maybe not unless they jump over from there. Mini's gonna make sure that they survive. In comes another tripwire, but Germzy's gonna do what they do best: rip people's heads off.
I mean, the fact that you don't clear sight before taking that aggressive angle, Mini getting that kill is insane. Nami lucky enough to get a kill, but doesn't go for the weapon. Fate, trigger discipline, staring at Mini, hoping they could get another one. Now, Germzy's kind of pinched here. Shadow needs to get the proper timing, or Germzy can hold their own. Again!
It's Germzy we're talking about here, Zobi! Holding their own? It's another day in the office for this Cypher!
Like, my question is, okay, there's like two-pronged. One, where was this on Icebox, and is it because a Killjoy's played so fundamentally different as a Sentinel on Icebox than it is as a Cypher on Split? And I think that's the latter, right? Germzy's actually getting the opportunity to show what they can do here by anchoring a site when the Killjoy more plays mid. They're more fluid over on Icebox, right? Like, I said we needed a timeout from Baker Swarm. They take it one more round. They wait for the buy round. They wait for the ult round. And I think this is the best opportunity for Baker Swarm to get back on the board. If they still lose with these ultimates, I mean, maybe they don't have the Rolling Thunder just yet. How far off is it? We don't know. I'm terrified for them. Like, terrified. go to Lotus already.
Listen, we're staring into the eyes of a killer right now. A straight murderer. Yeah, with Soul? I'm trying to figure out if they even have one right now. Germzy is a completely different player. To tag on to your point, too, you kind of wonder if the map pool game that OC Eagles were playing with almost like, just, let's go ahead, get rid of Icebox, and we go to a real powerhouse map of Split for ourselves. And it's sure feeling like a powerhouse for them. Germzy is 18-4, Zobi. I mean, we were going crazy over what Demon was capable of on Icebox, but this feels like Germzy is just wanting to show up and show out.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this was a variable we didn't account for at all in our analysis right now, because we didn't expect it. I mean, they're a tenured player in the collegiate space, don't get me wrong, but this is, like, almost career. Alright. Skyflash spots the players out, you keep Germzy on the site, right? Like, that's pretty textbook. Hopefully they can find similar impact here, but again, it feels like Baker Swarm know how to play around a Cypher. They don't know how to play around Germzy.
How do you play around that? It almost feels like if you can get rid of Germzy, you've won the round, but Baker Swarm is yet to do that in quite some time. Finally, though, they are going to Dimensional Drift, just play away from it. A couple of tripwires here, and finally, yes, like I said, get rid of Germzy. You found your opening, you found your opportunity. Now, OC Eagles is going to be throwing in everything that they have, right? Couple of grenades over here. Fate's going to have to go on the other side, gate crash themselves to that safety. And now we're going to have weapon deny primaries taken away. Baker Swarm just throwing everything in the kitchen sink to make sure that they win this round.
I mean, 2 out of the 5 ults. This is not bad when you're only 3 rounds down. I mean, you know OC Eagles after 5 rounds is going to have ults. I mean, I was hoping you wouldn't use any more, but I guess a trade for the showstopper is pretty good. When OC's actually refragging, you even invest the Clove ultimate. It's down to Zen in the 1v3, making a 1v2. What?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Not even that close. It took 4 ults, Sam.
It took 4 ults for them to win that. They lost 4 players. Right, by the way, every player who used an ultimate died that round, Zobi. And it fell down to the shoulders of
players.
Demon.
They lost 5, right? The Glove got 2 lives.
Yeah, the Glove got 2 lives. They got a second chance. But it just wasn't going to be good enough. And so that goes to show you that, sure, Germzy may be gone. But that doesn't matter because it feels like the Eagles are at home on Split. This feels like their territory. Again, it feels like a completely different team than what we saw, but it's still not done for Baker Swarm. They got the round win. This may be just what they needed.
Yeah, I mean, energy is infectious, right? When Germsy's having a good game, the rest of the team's gonna follow suit. And this is a lucky calling, right? The Rays showstopper into the A site. This time Germzy not playing, not hanging around. to be the first blood. They're gonna commit to the full-on retake with all these ults, right? You have the neural theft, you have the seekers. Should be good to go.
Get rid of that there. Make sure that ladder moves doesn't get away with anything else. Good starts here. Jeremsy's fallen, but guess what? The OC Eagles, they're still operating at peak efficiency. Nami hiding out in screens. Peter over on the other side, lands the headshot to Nami. Low on health in. Not much HP to work with. Down to the 2v2. Go for the ping of the spike. Hear him over on the corner. Demon gets the headshot there. Now down to Minnie's shoulders to protect this team and their chances of holding on to another round. Go and try to pull them out here. The paint show goes wide, and now they go into the corner, but now you're running out of time. Minnie has no choice. They got to get this here. They go for the half, but they held on too long.
Mariah's fallen now, almost not having their gun out there. Hard attack, but Bakerstorm get it done. They keep their gun, they keep their life. Was a really nice utilization of the util cycling there. And I got it, hats off to ladder moves. Did you notice how the thorns were used for more information than effect? Right? You expect them to break the thorns, now you know where they are. And if they don't and they make contact with the player, then you pop the thorns and they're slowed down in their attempt to retake through main. Like, it's teaching me new Vice tech here. Like, that was a beautiful post plant using what is an aggressive comp that doesn't seem like it have a lot of post plant or site hold potential. But those Eagles, again, still up one round, still have plenty of funds and the Blade Storm and a first blood.
Maybe a second one? No, not quite there. Yeah, that's where Shadow's gonna try and fill in the gaps with the Blaze Storm. All of the knives going around the head of Demon. They're still here. They're still alive. They're not moving anywhere just yet. Meanwhile, this entire mid is undefended. They could go in through Vince, and that's what ladder moves is going to do. No one was there. They realize that they don't want to take any of those chances from happening, but still, ladder moves has this vent control.
I think you could be here. I mean, look at the rotation from OC Eagles at this point, right? I mean, I agree they gave it mid control, but this is why. They were able to counter head on, and they should have been able to win it in sheer numbers, but the trades are following suit. Baker Swarm. A little less than a minute left. The hesitancy here, maybe waiting for a breach recycle of util, and that might just be their kryptonite.
Yeah, as long as Minnie can go here fast enough, get the paranoia down. Ow, Minnie! Massive misstep here. Massive misplay. Now in goes Shadow. Put it all on the weight of their shoulders, and they're gonna carry it through. OC Eagles clutching in to the 6th round.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about how much control they had, and I'm confused why they just stopped, right? Like, I understand the idea of cutting noise, but there, right, like, you weren't applying pressure anywhere. You didn't have, oh, say, a Fate Lurk making noise over towards B. Because they had the Cypher Cam there, they had all the information they needed on the B site, they had the players over towards A. And I mean, even down to the last player, right, tapping, trying to take the fight instead of just going for the commitment when time is low, right? It felt like they got the advantage and then they squandered it. And now, those Eagles guaranteed at least a tie here, looking for the lead off the Shadow in this early contact.
Crazy moments here for Shadow. Gets rid of the clone, but Zin gonna keep the back safe from the gate crash. It's not gonna quite go out yet. Oh my gosh! They're just putting them into the meat grinder. OC Eagles having the time of their life.
Last round in the half.
I mean, that was Nico round. That's the silver lining, right? For Baker Swarm, but still, that was brutal. Like you mentioned, a meat grinder of a mate. Even the site that the Sentinel isn't on has become deadly. I mean, I don't know how Zen survived that low-key, like, Pain Shell, full flash, Fate TPs, and then you still get 1D'd, like, a little crazy, but again, that's what is infectious right now from the performance Jeremsy put up in that streak of 5 rounds. They have confirmed a lead, and they are not slowing down. They're playing this double duelist. How I wanted them to play the double duelist on Icebox, getting aggressive. This is interesting. You stacked your double duelist on the Cypher site?
Oh, that's going to be good enough to pull them all over. That's kind of the realization that we're running into, but it's not going to be good enough. Shadow, again, the tip of the spear for this team. When we saw Jeremsy picking up the slack at the beginning of this half, now it's going to be Shadow's opportunity to do so. They've been taken down to heal, but guess who's over on the other side with that rocket? It's Vader. Blows Fate into the next century. Now me looking at CT thinking someone has to be in that direction. Surely it's not meant to be. Meanwhile, guess who's going to be a battle of the fates, a battle of the odds? Because the second this dog finds anyone here, oh, wait a minute, not the knife, anything but the knife, Jeremsy, please.
That's crazy. An ace, a knife kill, an 8-4 half for OC Eagles, right? This is a turnaround after losing your map pick, right? And I had a big question mark when I'm like, huh, stacking the double sentinel on the Cypher site. Interesting. They trusted in Jeremsy to hold down mid. The players rotate off fast and leave it to the Cypher util. and they bait them into the B exec. And like the fact that the backside Cypher trip never got destroyed as well, Vader had all the info that they needed to take the fights one at a time. Off the Showstopper, off the backside player Nami, who had taken drop or plat control. Like, it's insane. It's not impossible, right? We saw OC Eagles almost stage a comeback from an 8-4. Can Baker Swarm do the same? Oh my goodness. There we go. It's insane. It's carnage, right? The two players that got aggressive A main off that cam fall. And it's all down to ladder moves. We've seen the story. We've seen it played out. 1v3, 1v4. It doesn't matter. They cannot clutch it out because it's too oppressive. It's too far gone. OC Eagles, much like Baker did, deny the pistol turnaround.
Eagles. To start, this is what they keep talking about, right? They're 9-4. They get the anti-eco. Into double digits. Looking at massive similarities to that Icebox happenings that were going on there. But OC Eagles, still a little bit of time for them left to go. And for Baker Swarm, we're talking about that deja vu moment that sure they could be in that 10-4 situation too, where they start mounting a massive comeback of their own.
Well, this is a good start, I think, for OC Eagles, right? They recognize, okay, it's an eco round, it's the second round. There are going to be some crazy strats, maybe like a 5 push down mid. And that seems to be exactly what Baker Swarm is doing late into this round. Oh, but this Sky Dog, what in the timing? Did it see them? The spray seems to say so, but they haven't connected on anybody.
Wait, that's crazy. That's crazy. Almost no damage is happening here. Thank goodness for Shadow. That could have gone in a completely different direction if Demon was able to keep up that sort of momentum, that sort of pace, even with all the numbers in their direction. Now they're going to back away. Weapons are going to go in the right hands. Make sure that Vandal is being used appropriately. Now you're looking at Rice balling over on the other side. Ladder moves right here. It's all happening in mid.
Wow. I mean, at least ladder moves isn't alone, right? Like they usually are in these situations. I think playing disconnected but playing safe here is smart. You figure out where the players are, then you rejoin, and it looks like they're going to group up maybe mid here. Maybe even find a weapon or two. I don't know what the full buy looked like for the Eagles. Oh, and Deagle upgrade. Not too shabby, at least. But, again, I mean, you have an Arc Rose, you have a Stun, and a Flash, and a Dream. OC Eagles have better weapons, sight control. Flash is on sight here. This is good.
Biggest problem though, right, is a couple of those shots inside of heaven is going to let OC Eagles know where the at least one player of Baker Swarm is. You have Shadow with Bulldog right here. Now, granted, there are sheriffs in their hands. Oh my god! But if it's coordinated like that from Shadow, and in the shots like that for a 4K, look of their own. Putting up Jersey numbers almost.
Wow. Yeah, they said I'm the duelist here. I'm 18-6 now. They're literally telling them like one more good round. It's just everyone stepped up here on this map. I mean, it's like they had similar map pools. They kind of understood maybe how the picks and bans were gonna go, and they prepared for it. And I think they're looking so confident on an old composition too, which is more astounding. Like maybe they played the new meta, didn't like the new meta, and said let's just go back to what we know. Like, and I love teams that are confident enough in their like own playstyle to do that. Oh, but confidence shut down.
Yeah, and then Shadow can't go any further because of the fault line, so that's a good way to protect your controller. It's mini wide, goes for a small peek there, but it's Jersey, right? They're gonna back away. Cage is gonna go up, protect their escape out of there. A couple of shots are gonna go in, but once that drops, Jersey's better be ready for that. Oh, what am I talking about? It's Jersey, for goodness sake.
Flash was a second late.
Oh,
the cage is even later. Finally. Get their comeuppance, and now it's down to the 2v4. The players spotted out A, the Thorns. Expecting the reclear doesn't come just yet, so you don't know if the players are in sight. I mean, the arc growth thing confirms that. So eyes now, hopefully on ramps. Here the first. And they went out against Zombie first.
Yeah, Yeah, they knew they were inside of Vince, so Shadow tried to go for the pre-fire. Yep, slowed down by the fault line. Makes Nami look good, makes Baker Swarm put on another round. Again, we're talking about that Icebox matchup, right? This is the start that Baker Swarm needs. They didn't lose too many players either to win out that. And so they get to hold on to a majority of those weapons. Demon, the only one really languishing in that.
And it was a 13-9 win for Baker Swarm on map number 1. You talked about this maybe mimicking that performance. We'll see if Baker Swarm can snowball that last round win. I mean, the bias should be fairly similar, right? That was a bonus round for OC Eagles. So it should be a buy up here. Baker Swarm kept it fairly clean. I'm curious to see finally when all the tools are in both hands how it goes.
Crazy maneuver from Fate. Trying to keep themselves safe. Vader desperately wants that ultimate orb, but being stalled out at every single possible pace. And there's no way that they can get a smoke here, right? Nami's all the way over on the other side of A, and that's sort of the limitations that you have as that clove.
Yeah. Now they cut noise. I like the Vice playing here while you trust Nami with your util. Again, leverage of the Vice, the global util. Minus the arc. Here we go. The recollect, the rehit through mid. Demon's alone here to receive this, and that's a little scary as well. When the paranoia comes in, they have to respect it.
And they're gonna finally hear all of the footsteps. Germsy gets the headshot on the rice ball, and Ladder Moose is still there, but Mini Wide is not gonna leave their comrade unavenged. OC Eagles placing that out perfectly, giving Baker Swarm pause and Nami a wonder of what to do.
Again, the util just kind of forcing each player to take ones. Nami, I was about to say, you got a 4K last round, could you do it for the clutch? But I think they've called for the save. Again, they're kind of staring down that same prospect as what Icebox happened to OC Eagles, where you lose too many weapons, right? You just enter another eco round, and OC Eagles would be guaranteed likely a 12th. So, Baker Swarm, gonna take this, hopefully rifle, as a second chance. A hero rifle to spare them from a 12th. Much like we did see, like, I will say, OC Eagles held Baker Swarm on 11 for how many rounds? I think it was the 11th that they struggled with.
No, it was, right? It was like 3 rounds in a row from Baker Swarm on Icebox, and then OC Eagles went on a heroic run through. So now Baker Swarm is just gonna have to do that kind of performance. But you're 11-5, right? And again, when I mentioned it on Icebox and I mentioned here on Split, it's not a lot of margins of error that you have. And in fact, a timeout being called from the coach, Dumbbell, for Baker Swarm. What do we do here?
Yeah.
What needs to happen? How do we fix and right this ship that has been guided into a Category 5 OC Eagles hurricane?
This timeout worries me, I think, because, like, I think it's well placed, right? Because if you lose this, it's map point. The odds of getting 7 in a row to OT is slim. And also that means, I don't say that it doesn't mean you don't trust in your team to get this round over, right? But this would be such an important timeout, say, when you're staring down, okay, like a 12-11, like a 12-10, right? Later in the comeback. Like, maybe you're hinging on OC Eagles when they start slipping into, excuse me, to use a timeout, but what are they talking about, right? Are they talking about, are they planning to force then? I mean, they have the one rifle saved. They don't have ults to work with. This is, like, again, kind of scary.
Very scary. Baker Swarm, backs against the wall. Timeout to try and, yeah, get that question answered. Where do we go from here? What do we do? And
We are forcing.
you gotta try and stall out the match point as long as possible from OC Eagles. And especially if you can win this round here, you're gonna put them in a little bit of a economic deficit. That's also a big point of contention for Baker Swarm. They got to keep as many players alive that they possibly can.
Vice wall. Mid this time. Here we go. Aggression A. Trying to catch Germsy off early. Or see if it was a mind game.
And it was a mind game, right? Playing right into it. Germsy still pushed up, but so is Fate! Couldn't quite adjust the aim fast enough, and that's a good fault line. Right, good recognition of that, but thankfully Shadow has the trade out. They're gonna be ready here, flying in on the high ground, through the smoke. Ladder Moose isn't even gonna be blinded either, but the pain shell's gonna do a heck of a lot of damage. Vader blinded out by their own teammates flashbang. Nami hiding out inside of their smoke on B main. Spike's gonna go down. Ladder moves is gonna be the first point of contact. They go down. Oh my god, they're blinded! And now they do a quick jump peek. They know where Nami is. Zen stepping up to the plate in a big way. Now it's down to Rice balling for the 1v3, and there is no saving. They have to fight. It's a good start here, but you're 5 HP, and you have a high-low, right? Zen on the Zen on the low ground, Vinny on the high. You're 5 HP. You're just gonna have to.
Are you saving?
Just gonna have to save.
No.
No.
Save. Okay, they're not.
I don't know how I feel about this though, right? They think they're gonna come from heaven, but again, you're playing from that high ground with 5 HP. You have an aftershock, you have a fault line, you have no hope. OC
Wow.
Eagles.
It's like Minnie's spidey senses were tingling, right? They were tracking towards heaven, and then suddenly they turned 180 on the dime to look towards CT and find Rice balling. Ooh, that would have been an insane first kill, right? They put you back into 1v1 where 5 HP in a dream could have gotten it done. But now, I mean, there's ults, you don't have weapons, it's the Stinger Force. This looks like a possible 13-5, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it's actually reminiscent of their game against Concordia St. Paul that ended in a 1-2. They had a really good first map, a 13-9. It was a 13-2 win for Concordia, or St. Paul, Concordia St. Paul! Oh my gosh, words. It's just so chaotic that I can't even speak, and...
A lot of chaos right now. Whoa, okay, Minnie. I may have been a little overzealous on your part, but regardless, at the end of the day, the rest of the team is doing exactly what they need to. Playing by the script, playing by the rules, all over on the high ground. They could not get out of there. An explosive end for the OC Eagles on map number 2. Zobi, I'm so happy we get to say this. It's Lotus time.
Wow. I mean, even that last round, right? Chaotic from the get-go. Again, it felt like OC Eagles had the playbook, right? For Baker Swarm time and time again. Germsy always on the right side at the right time, right? Them always finding the openings on the attack, right? Like, that was just very, very difficult to come by. And, I mean, whew, the fact that that's Baker Swarm's pick, too. And we're heading to a map of Lotus, which, again, is a map that both these teams have played just a little bit. All right, we had a 1-0 for the side of the Eagles. They won it. And then we have Lotus actually 1-1 for the side of Baker Swarm. So I'm not saying that looks terrible prospects for them, but probably not as good of odds as they would hope for.
Yeah, right. We're talking a lot about how both of these maps have been going. Let's take a look at the stats though real quick. I want to get an idea of the Germsy performance. Yeah, 22 and 10, 345 ACS. But guess what? Shadow's not too far behind. And this is sort of the difference that we're getting out of the OC Eagles squad from Icebox, where it felt like Zin was really struggling to get that momentum going. Well, now they got that. They finally got to that point, and the rest of the squad is also pulling up in a big way. Germsy was middle of the pack on Icebox, and now they're topping the leaderboard.
And I mean, I'm trying to figure out that, okay, we know everything that went right for OC Eagles. It's pretty apparent, right? I think for Baker Swarm, right? Demon and Fate, they were that duo that I was looking for, right? Like, even if their kills aren't positive, they were still the top of the leaderboard. I think ladder moves, like, I don't blame them for it, but they just were never in the high effective positions we wanted them to be in. And I think that's, again, discredited the fact that they were in, like, 1v3s, 1v4s, 1v5s, round after round. And that's difficult because then maybe to me what it shows is you need an early round advantage so your Sentinel isn't left to clean up the mess. And if there's a map that demands that more than any, it is Lotus.
Well, Lotus, the name of the game, the final battleground for OC Eagles and Baker Swarm, which means it's time for a short break for us right now, Zobi, right? Everybody get up, stretch, get some water, get some snacks, because this is going to be the exciting conclusion to this matchup that you do not want to miss. Map number 3, Lotus, the exciting finale to what has been a slobber knocker of a game, I guess I could say here, Zobi. But we do have the OC Eagles versus Baker Swarm matchup. Both teams 1-1 against each other. A 13-9 Icebox that was Baker Swarm into a 13-5 for OC Eagles on split. Lotus, I mean, it's a coin flip right now for me, Zobi.
Yeah, if history is going to repeat itself, like the match between Baker Swarm and Concordia St. Paul Blue, like that ended in a double digits affair for the last map, right? And it went from, again, a 13-9 to the opposing team stomping to a map 3 loss. So I talked about at the beginning, right, the storyline being, okay, OC Eagles is on a win streak, right? After their first match of the season being a loss, versus Baker Swarm was just faced with their first loss of the season last week. It's gonna be how do they catch their bearings here again, and losing in this way again, I think could be a major blow to confidence coming into the last few rounds of the season.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about, right? That storyline, that narrative. It's a one team's gonna run into that roadblock, or it's just going to be continuation of a streak, regardless of how this is going to run into for both sides, right? One is going to continue their win streak, and one is going to continue the loss streak, so on and so forth. So yeah, but we go into Lotus, we go into some of the ways that this map has been moving around, how this map has been changing. And again, we talk about some of the agent changes that have come through. I don't think we're going to see anything too out of the ordinary composition wise, but that's also what we've been getting out of both of these teams, is the unusualness of them both.
Yeah, I see here. Oh, it should be pretty standard. It's Lotus, and I raise you a neon. There is a chance that for OC Eagles that we are going to see Vader on the neon, but also, like I said, they've been making the changes away from like these double initiator comps to the double duelist, where it's Vader side by side. Again, this probably because Pablo's not playing anymore, so I'm curious to see if they're going to go for that again and change that again. Because prior it was pretty much very similar compositions, minus again actually a Yoru compared to the neon. There wasn't even raises for either sides, which is crazy to say when we're talking about Lotus, but it makes me think, okay, are they still going to run then the comps we've seen them play or not?
I still kind of like the neon for Lotus. It obviously, right, neon's not quite the demon that she once was with the perfect aim accuracy on the slide, but I still think you can get a lot of mileage out of her. Now we go into the agent select, see if we are going to have that craziness. Oh, the double Teho?
Double Yoru! That's crazy! And also Germsy not being swayed by the Vice either, which again scares me because ladder moves didn't see the best Vice over on split. Again, don't think it was their fault, just again how the game was panning out. But aside from that, we finally are going to see, you know, Fate back on the initiator supporting a duelist. And for the opposing side, we're still getting a double duelist. I mentioned it was going to happen when they have this substitution, right, where Pablo isn't playing, and it is instead, I think, Shadow.
It's the final map, Zobi. The only thing I can think of is that the OC Eagles did indeed have their Winzel's farm snack sticks, right? That's how they won split so decidedly. So a reminder to everyone, fuel your game with Winzel's farm snack sticks. No mess, no distractions, just bold, protein packed flavored to keep you locked in. Whether you're grinding ranked or leading the squad, Winzel's keeps you powered up. Grab a stick, stay in the game, crush the competition. Winzel's farm, fuel for gamers, flavor for champions.
Yeah, very gamer friendly. I want your keyboard being all sticky or messy, but speaking of keyboards, they need to be in full swing here over towards this A main fight, where Vader cinematically is pushed out of that angle over towards A main.
Wow, I kind of like this from Mini, right? The second that door opens, you pop the paranoia, and try to go crazy with that pin. Oh, they're not even waiting for anybody to open it, but guess what? The same idea was had too by Nami. Paranoia over on the other side, and Baker's swarm just kneecaps OC Eagles. But the spike is still down, right? And Zin is right here. If they can get rid of Fate, who has the spike, by the way, they could get away with this something massive here. It's in Malone, though. And a 1v2. Clear opportunities to be able to win here, but it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination.
Did you see the ping on the minimap? They know that ladder moves is on the flank. I mean, the Arc Girl's just confirming it here. Fake TV action to try and draw the eye away from the 1v1. Fairly won by Zed, 24 HP. And the wall bang shot from Demon. 3k to get Baker Swarm another first round pistol. That's 3 for 3 that they lead. And I don't know if you want to be doing that so soon, Demon. It's the first round.
Listen, this is Demon we're talking about. Can't help themselves. Got that. Listen, the Demon Icebox will live in our minds forever. The Germsy Split will live in our minds forever. Wonder which player that we're going to be highlighting coming off the back of Lotus. But on the first round, Zin and Demon putting up impressive numbers. Demon edging out ahead in that one. Now they get to go into their anti-eco. You just believe in poor Mini on an island. Try and stand toe-to-toe against this Demon.
I mean, Zen's been in like purely support roles. I feel like the Teo has a bit more kind of like individuality. So I'm curious to see them in that position, but for now it's been
Good
Mini.
Lord.
Bro, I know I can't jump peek, but I think something's wrong when Demon's getting away with these shots. I mean, 2 with the Deeg. hefty damage done. And they're all doing this, and they even drew Germsy over as a result. So this feels like, okay, they're giving up C. They have kind of a trap set up if they go B for the lurk player of the Vice. They have then a quick, like, revolving door play if they have contact C. And it feels like Baker Swarm didn't like any of it. They got the chip damage, they got the kill, and they speed up over towards A.
Oh, yeah, right. They try to go for the ult orb. Zen is going to guided salvo. It breaks the wall. This is an opportunity for some Fights. Brilliant ways to try and get away from that for Demon. But Rice Ballin comes inside of Hobbit Hole and gets their mirror broken. Made her on the back lines, but that curveball is going to let them know where they're coming from. Or flashbang, rather. Long range Sheriff shot. Not going to quite stand toe to toe with the Nami Guardian. Germsy on beach. It's definitely not a vacation for this Cypher. Oh, hey. They're picking themselves.
Yeah, this is a map where, again, Sentinel RNG is huge for performance, right? Germsy somehow hit the lottery, right? Time and time again on the right side over on Split. Here, right? Like, your Cypher's pretty much guaranteed to be C, maybe once in a while sprung over towards A. So it's gonna be a lot easier for Baker Swarm, in my mind, to neutralize the threat that is Germsy, except for econ damage with the chair. That's a continuity no matter what map.
Yeah, okay. All right, Germsy. At the end of the day, it was still a simple anti-eco round that kind of went topsy-turvy in the final few moments for Baker Swarm, and so now we're kind of seeing the impact here. Weapon buys all over the place. Yeah, OC Eagles. It's Vandals light shields across the board. There's no outlaw that they need to worry about, but the firepower that Baker Swarm's still packing is something that you are going to fear.
I'm curious again how they were gonna get by the Cypher util, right? No raise. Maybe have a Teo if you know where the trips are, which is exactly what this dimensional drift is. Demon clears out all the sites, sees nobody. So they know they have a free site. They don't have to use that additional util. They have the forward line of control as well. Now, how does the actual exec go?
That's good, right? Demon was so focused on what was happening in CT, they didn't have the swing from Waterfall covered. The rest of the squad didn't get there quick enough off the back of that dimensional drift. Rice Ballin gonna drop down below, but someone's gonna make sure to clear close left. Germsy blinded again from the flashbang. They're just going all over the place. Nami's at 5 HP. Just a quick get rid of them, a quick shot over to that, and they're gone. Omen TP up over towards Pillar. Thankfully, no one was holding that angle. Otherwise, Mini would be gone from here by now. Now for the swing from ladder moves. Swing and a miss, though, as Rice Ballin is still the only one over on that side. Hit the spike over to the half. Zen's going to make sure that this is safe. Mini sacrifices their life. Questionable move, but hey, whatever. We get there. All the same.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good bonus if you're Baker Swarm, right? Taking 3 rifles out of their hands. Credited to some whiffs. And the use of that ultimate, that dimensional drift early on as well. So yeah, they don't like to safe harbor and explode out with ults. They like layering them for rounds here and there. It kind of was their kryptonite over on Split. Seems like it'll work here because they have Nami's, Rice Ball, and Fates 1, 2, and 3 off respectively. But OC Eagles here, right? They still have a bye. If they win this round, it'll continue. They have as well the annihilation from Zen and that early kind of clutch from the pistol. So this is looking good as well as a potential strategy to, again, not let things get out of hand here.
Zen had that big money. Was heavy shields, but now going to light shields to give Mini the Vandal. Germsy's gonna pop the cage. No one's here just yet. Waiting for that flood in, flood through, follow through. Baker Swarm's taking their time to make any moves happen here. Right, you have Demon, the opposite end of this smoke. The rest of the squad's getting out of there. Demon may try to go for some flashy plays, see if they can get that lucky pick off, gate crash to safety. Not gonna quite happen yet here. Shadow's gonna be protected from the spider drone. It still has control of rubble. Ooh, and the timing there too. They don't really know that Shadow is still here, potentially. They're gonna have their eyes on that location. Yeah, and that's what happens, right? Germsy was too far out. And that's Demon capitalizing on that massively. And Zen couldn't get away, blinded and stuck in the guided salvo.
Yeah, that stun insane. I mean, it's interesting. Baker Swarm, right, recognized how many players were fighting for A main from OC Eagles. They circumvent it. They fake that they're heading towards C site. They leave the Yoru to find the Cypher, and then they still hit the A site. So Vader's here if they put up some heroics, but Paranoia throw utility usage here. Not gonna happen.
Yeah, Demon back on their terror performance from Icebox. Finally thawed off here on the nice tropical area of Lotus. Baker Swarm making it look flawless.
And I mean, OC Eagles now. Economy shattered. Baker Swarm, opportunity to get a lot of rounds on the board. Poor thing is to get towards the end of this half. I mean, this is interesting, right? I feel like we never get to see like attack-sided loaders anymore. I know that's crazy to say. It feels like time and time again we're seeing defensive sides have the stronger showing, but Baker Swarm, again, like Demons doing their job, they're getting the first bloods, but it feels like there's no one like surprisingly stand out, like doing insane plays here. And I think that for a map 3 decider, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, this kind of just feels like simple Valorant at its core, Zobi. It's win the gunfights, don't do anything too crazy, no one getting the 4Ks, the aces, or anything like that. It's just simple,
Here.
maybe not so clean Valorant. At the end of the day, that's something I think the OC Eagles are struggling with, and trying to get the tempo, trying to get the pacing of Baker Swarm, who has again slowed things down to a halt. Now he's going to jump down to the ground below. Vader's going to hear that. Where do they go from here? What's the decision-making process that's going to be happening? Only one player's on A. It's Germsy.
Yeah, I feel like all the calls, all the reads right now are perfect for Baker Swarm, right? Whenever they feel like something's not quite right, they've avoided it. I talked about how like sometimes that was like what punished them on split. Like they were holding because they thought something was wrong and nothing was wrong, and then that harmed them in the end. It has not one time this map so far.
Ooh, that's going to hurt.
Oh no.
Ladder moves, falls on the flank. There's still 2 more players in this direction, right? But Nami has maybe safety. No! The flank continues to fall. Big weapons given up. Gypsy's gonna go down on the low ground here as we have another. Oh, big opportunities! But the ultimate from Xin! The Armageddon living up to its name! Demon in a 1v3. We know what this player is capable of, but this is gonna be nothing short of miraculous for them to do anything here.
I mean, you had 15 seconds, you couldn't even rotate. Forced to stay in a grave of your own digging. OC Eagles finally get back on the board here. The Thrifty. I mean, name a better combo. It happened on Icebox, it's happening here. Like, that was what I said should have been Baker Swarm's map again, to start running away with things. And I feel like I've said that before too for Baker Swarm. And it's just like clockwork. When it should happen, OC Eagles says it's not going to. And we said we were getting normal Valorant. What happened?
I don't know. Right? These teams love flipping the script on us over and over again. But now we're seeing ultimates online for both squads. We have another dimensional drift from Demon. Vader with one of their own. The Armageddon was popped by Zen. Got massive value, right? Denied the spike plant. And Demon's just right off the rip the second the barriers fall. And they're going to see all of the Cypher utility set up here. And if any indication of who that could be, yeah, that's Germsy. Going up into heaven. Smokes are gonna go down. Germsy seeing all the firepower being shot in their direction. All the bullets whizzing through the smoke. Slowed down, but that's gonna stop them in their tracks. Ladder move. Wait a minute.
Again.
Wait a minute. No, ladder move. Surely not. Surely. You're not gonna let this happen, right? Oh yeah, they're being seen. Big scene. Big scene. Oh, Vader. Rough timing.
Oh, but Ladder Moose playing their life here. And this is good. I mean, now they know one player could be flanked because they didn't get crash out. The rest of your team holding onto the site quite well. If it weren't for Zen and Shadow staking their claim here, I think they're going to use the Rolling Thunder if they even get the opportunity to. Fate tucked away, praying that no one's going to wallbang them. Zen doesn't seem to. It's all Demon taking the spotlight, taking the distraction. And now Fate, you have to gamble. Which way did they go?
It's 34 HP. He's
Vader
played
just
time.
leaving. Bro got stuck behind the door. Oh no. Should be able to make it away, maybe, to save their weapon. Both do. And that was chaotic from Baker Swarm, right? Like, small mistakes started adding up suddenly, and somehow it didn't slip away. Whew. All right.
Yeah, every time Demon has used the dimensional drift in a round, it tends to win them that. Germsy, so nervous of what happens with the site, just gives it up and tries to play for the retake. And it's also the little timings that happen here, right? The rest of the squad fighting through, but it's just Demon playing at that level we know that they can. And when they do, we get results like this. Okay, that's scary.
That's even scarier. They're still alive.
Wow, wait a minute, Zin! Look where they are again. They're still alive. Shadow's being dunked on in every respect, man. There's nothing that they can do. They finally get taken down, but it took so much to make that happen. It took the life of Demon. It took a rolling thunder for them to get rid of this jet.
I mean, I'm glad they kind of like put their thumb down. And in the meantime, not me, I don't know how you're here, but you are. See if you can make the most of it. Maybe buy time for the team to rotate over to the revolving door. It's been sprung. And Nami's still trying to cause chaos here, right? They have that from the shadows. They can get out of an uncomfortable situation if they need to. Less than a minute left already. A decision has to be made. Nami finds Vader on the gate crash out of ceiling. That's even crazier.
Still taking some time for Spike to get over in this direction. That was crazy. Almost got inside of the Thorns, got itself a combo. Would have been so sad for poor Mini. But still delayed out for a second longer here. Germsy's holding on to that A site for a little bit longer than I think they should be. He's eventually going to get planted, and finally the Cypher going to start rotating back into this direction. But 3v4 with a smoke in that area is going to make things so bad. And look at the firing lines. Look at the squad that's set up here. The door's going to be broken, so it's going to draw eyes away for a moment. And he's in the corner, but Fate looks over at the right side, the right time. And poor Germsy may not be ready for this lurk. Look at this. And for the right timing here, Nami, a knife in the dark.
And I mean, this went from like, okay, good honest Valorant to controlled chaos within like 2 rounds. Like, that is the best way to describe this, right? You talked about how, okay, the opening was messy. It took a rolling thunder to salvage it to finally shut those players down. And I mean, I can't even imagine the Carnage open rod if Mini didn't one-way it, right? To save some of the players, right? So that Vader could gate crash out, so that Zen could retuck away towards site. And I talked about Baker Storm and their tempo being a little off on rotations. Somehow, again, it lines up even though it felt too late at times, right? Like, Nami gets the kill, they're good to go. If Nami doesn't, that would have been, again, a different story. So, the Eagles, back to playing the default, right? Fighting for A main control, setting up Shadow on this line. Drone, though, really deep into Pillar here. I think it spots the Breach and the Teho, but not the Vice and the Omen. So they might not know how many are truly in spawn here.
I don't think they would either, right? You have the arc rose being popped. Camera seeing Nami, but nowhere near enough for information to understand what could be happening here. Zen, pushed back, concussed by the fault line, sees a bit of Teho utility expended as well, knowing that both of these players still occupy that mid territory. Demon waits for a moment, puts down the gate crash, comes back over. They lose their head, right? To Shadow? Wait, the timing here could be just crazy. And it was, but Shadow missed their shot. They missed their opportunity. Now it's time to just back out and play for your life. All of this happening on C. Germsy is about to be in for a world of pain.
But everyone's there already, right? And the Tejo's on the flank, right? Like, we've seen Germsy in these kind of positions with Sheriff in hand. They're trying to do it again, but we talked about util dumping these players, and that's how you overwhelm them. And Baker Swarm did just that. It's all down to Shadow. Last rotate. Tried to get another Guardian aim last moment going, but it does not work. It's not a flawless, but it's a team ace nonetheless. Baker Swarm is sitting pretty on their 6th. Gonna be looking now for an advantage as Shadow steps into the ring with the operator. Okay.
All right, first operator we've seen since Icebox. A long time coming. I miss this weapon. Let's see if in the hands of Shadow is going to be the difference maker that OC Eagles need. It has been now 3 rounds in a row that Baker Swarm has thrown in their face. The gauntlet down on the ground. And guess who has a dimensional drift yet again? None other than the demon himself.
Well, Operator has lost its novelty factor before it even got a chance. Meantime,
they get rid of it.
I mean, this is good info. This is good first bloods, right? Like, no matter where they go, they're finding kills right now, and it's so difficult for OC Eagles to have any kind of structured play.
You get rid of the spider
my
drone.
goodness.
Yeah.
Lurk.
It's just clinical from Baker Swarm. Every single player is alive. Not a single smidge of damage given to them either. And Demon is just unreal. Baker Swarm is unreal. A flawless round from them. 7-2.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I was nervous because I saw ladder moves was like 0-4 a few rounds ago, right? And they got flanked, right, by the thrifty players coming through C-Mount. Now they've turned a new leaf, right? They're finding really impactful lurk kills. They're opening up parts of the map here, right? They're ensuring that they're doing their job. And I think that's what's allowing Baker Swarm and these other players to have no worry, to pop off for Demon to be 15-6, right? You talked about it. Okay, which player was gonna step forward, right? We had Demon, we had Germsy, and it looks like Demon says, I want 2 out of 3, okay?
I want 2 out of 3. I want something here. Oh, but what are you gonna get, Germsy? Right? That's you pushing out the C long. Webcam's gonna go up. That's a dicey position you're playing in. You're gonna try and sacrifice your life here for something, but you gotta realize, right? You're Cypher. You're not gonna get out of here if things start to go sideways. There's the clone. Might be able to try and grab the weapon, but not much more than that. A lot of damage to Nami, but where do you go here from that expectation?
Oh, and I talked about ladder moves, their ability to clear out B main, keep this pressure. Why their team beats them to the punch. I mean, you've gotten the side. This is where again I question. Okay, why do they slow down? Right, the wall's been tripped over towards A. You've taken out all the Cypher util on C. You should be on C, not twiddling your thumbs mound here. And now, I mean, as a result, if they get this gun, if they get ladder moves, I was gonna say, that's a weapon and a chance maybe for a 2v3. Luckily, it's just the 1-for-1 trade. Mini, though, not pinged at all. There's a world they could win this clutch. So how does Baker Swarm keep it clean?
It's a world, but not the kind of world I want to be in, Zobi. 125 shields, both smokes down on the ground. That's a good start, though. Fate's gone. I wouldn't be surprised if they just try to get out of there. Oh, but they paranoia into the TP on the site, right into the waiting bullets of Nami. Baker Swarm, it's 8-2, right? Another opportunity, couple opportunities here for OC Eagles, but those opportunities are flying away from them.
Man, do I want to call another 8-4? Because we had like 8-4, 8-4. It'd be great to end it in a trifecta, but I don't know, the way Baker Swarm's playing right now, it feels like it's going to be more, right? If OC Eagles lose this round, they're probably starting at 10-2, right? Look at the money. They'd have to force up for that last round of the half. OC Eagles, though, have a lot of ults to work with, right? Dimensional Drift, Armageddon. We've seen the impact Zen has had, like more Teo util kills than I've seen in a hot minute. This is the best round they have to win.
And they have to. Right, they need those numbers on the board. Mini's gonna pop the paranoia, but by the time anything happens, that thing is gone. One way tries to go in, but Demon goes for the swing, goes for the fight. Mini completely unaware. The Armageddon to try and slow things down. Zen's gonna get close. And now a counter Armageddon. Look at what's happening on B. Look at the players that are poking their heads in there. Germsy's missing every single shot. Zen's gonna try their best, but now it's down to the 1v3 yet again. This time, instead of Mini, swap him out for Vader.
Silver lining here, you have the Dimensional Drift. Don't really think they got eyes on Vader either. So, looks like I was gonna say, if that Spidey sense wasn't tingling, they would have had the 1v1. They still get the first. But Rice balling good for the trade. Baker Swarm with a guaranteed 9 rounds in this half. I was hoping this map would be close based on history, but Baker Swarm starting to sit up, turn their monitors on, and lock in.
Lock in indeed. I mean, Demon is 17-7. This is the duelist that we know and love that was kind of quiet on Split, but now roaring to life on Lotus. 9-2? Potential 10-2, especially with the economy of OC Eagles?
I'm not gonna lie, you know I'm a #1 like solo Yoder hater as well. Like I always want them to be a double duelist. And this is a player that has put in a good word for it and are continuing to do so. They shut down, they refrag with 2 kills to claim the advantage for Baker Swarm. They immediately pop Dimensional Drift, right? To see if the B side is safe for their team. Oh, what? A gamble!
A gamble again, Mini. I'm sorry to say, buddy. Those gambles are not working out for you. And how many times do I have to say this, Zobi? It feels like, oh, guess what? 3rd round in a row. A 1v3. It's Germsy. They showed us a generational performance on Split.
Oh.
But now they had to do this here. Oh, on Lotus, okay. They don't get caught by the flashbang there, but now they know where the Cypher is. Give me another opportunity here with the guided salvo. Demon holding on for dear life, the small amount of HP that they have. What do you do if you're Germsy? It feels like almost nothing, right? 2 players over in this direction. No shots landed, and Demon makes it look so good with a 4K. Baker Swarm 10-2 first half.
I mean, the pain you must feel when you have an answer in your back pocket, right? The neural theft, but there's no corpses for you to tap into the minds of, right? Double digits here. This is a lot more than the 8-4 that we saw attempted over on Icebox from OC Eagles. We have said this is still technically an attack-sided map, but is it this attack-sided? 21-7, right? No player has passed the 30 mark. Some have come close as best of 3. Demon wants to be that player. I mean, I don't think there's enough rounds, obviously, left for them to say, okay, if you get the same kills as last half, you win. But 9 kills, very doable.
Yeah, very doable. All right. OC Eagles. Clean and simple so far. Guided salvo, clear up, close box on C. This is where ladder moves is going to be such a nuisance with that Vice. Wall's going to come up, but instead it's the Thorns. Good timing there. Shadow's going to take chip damage from that down to that 80 HP. Wall's going to open up from behind them, the rotating doors. Look and see if anyone's going to be there. Guess what? Just ghosts in the wind. Finally, as one goes away, Rice Ballin picks up that first blood onto none other than Germsy. Things are already looking dire. The Eagles, but guess what? Soaring above that mistake, Spike's going to be planted.
All right. Now, I mean, Baker Swarm forced to play retake in a down position. The players remaining for OC Eagles minus the planter taking deep waterfall space. Little dicey to leave the Omen solo here out in the open. Not like this.
Surely not
Baker
right.
Swarm. 2 of the players for OC Eagles are one tap.
It's simple enough, and the guided salvo slow things down here massively. Things are also thrown back because they're taking so long to get here. Rice Ball at that 20 HP. This is massive. This is big. Look over in that other direction. There's nothing that Vader can do. 20 HP and a dream. Run them down. Run them out. Run them away. Baker Swarm. 2 more rounds.
2 things. One, I thought OC Eagles was finally going to get a round win. Like, a team that's down was going to win the pistol the second half, right? Didn't happen for OC Eagles on Icebox. Didn't happen for Baker Swarm on Split. And Baker Swarm had no business winning that round, right? Like, they had the perfect strategy. 3 stuck up in Waterfall. The player for Baker Swarm, the Tejo, Rice Ball, who gets the 3-piece, was literally 510 HP. And just somehow them second-guessing themselves, right? Leaving Mini alone while the 2 go for CT instead. It just fell apart from there. So now what do you do at 11-2? You Stinger Force, you pray, you try to keep Baker Swarm off of a 12th.
You're really praying right now. Hoping that someone is listening. Well, unfortunately for them on the other side, if it's a demon with an outlaw. Oh, look at that. Spider Drone just waiting here. Goes up in the air. I don't know how many players it caught of OC Eagles, but they are struggling, right, to get past this doorway. So much utility being dumped in their direction. And that's where ladder moves is also the linchpin of success on this C site. Because, again, OC Eagles are going to struggle to get in onto the site with this Vice here. Second anyone goes, Arc Rose popped, Thorns in, walls up.
Ladder moves. See if they can put on a Germs level performance of an anchor for a site. Shadow respecting the Thorns for now. No spray connection either. Is Demon with 2 off of the Outlaw, but Zen collapsed back with a Stinger. And it's just player after player Zen on for the 4K. Nami has a Bulldog in hand here for this 1v2.
30 seconds left.
Oh.
That's smart, right? Germsy heard the footsteps from Nami. It's just going to back away. And the spike is going to be planted on B. A bold strategy here, but still, you play for the numbers. You play for what you got. I think they even managed to grab some of those better weaponry and the better firepower. There may be an outlaw. High-low! Oh, and you see how scary this is for Nami. 4 HP. Zin holds that angle and sprays.
Blind. All right. Much like Icebox, they get a lifeline. They get a string of hope. They can hopefully weave into a fate of success. And, I mean, the economy from the Force still isn't great, right? So it's kind of like a bonus up against, like, a second round is what we're basically finding here, right? It's like a half-buy hero rifle from Zen who got the 4K, who's kind of been that heroic player for OC Eagles this map, technically. I mean, they had the Armageddon online in round number 3. Can we talk about how crazy that is?
So many crazy things going out of this Lotus map. Yeah, Jermsy got that ping right there. Outlaw in hand. Ooh, but they see Demon. They know two players are here, and they're still wanting to try and take this fight. Push back just for a moment. The gate crash. Demon backs away. Seeing both of these squads doing similar strategies. Baker's War might just be crazy enough to play into this too, especially with ladder moves. It's a ghost, right? Yeah, they're gonna be seen. They're gonna be seen. They're gonna be seen. Just run him down with the Spectre. But no, it doesn't work out. Demon lays the headshot for the Sheriff, and they're still alive. Ladder moves is a ghost, for goodness sake.
They're still fighting. The flashpoint goes again. They hoped that they could maybe wrestle another kill away. Or maybe it was just hopefully for paving the exit route, but either way, what started as a great turnaround off those first two eco kills has still crumbled into an OC Eagles advantage. An open A site, pretty much a guaranteed plant, and they're preventing even weapons from getting collected. Jermsy, with the weapon carried over, their trophy from the second round win, get a fourth.
Get the spike planted. A little bit of an extra boon to the economy. Right, squad's coming back up, operating at full. So now it's Baker Swarm, so this is a real test for both of our squads on this second half. It's 11-4, right, Zobi? And we talk about Icebox again. That's that worm that's still in our brain. This is where it had to start for OC Eagles. We got that 5 rounds in a row before Baker Swarm was finally able to close it out. These are different tales, different stories abound.
Oh. Well, but one thing that'll never change in this story is taking a main space off your duelist and one or two of your initiators, namely Mateo. But what is going to change is how well OC Eagles counters it, how well they break through and reclaim that space. I mean, at least it's a 1-for-1 trade, so now you're down a duelist, but you got a second one to spare. Look, Shadow takes the helm, takes the entry, but you haven't dealt with the demon lurking in hell itself. 3 kills on the round. It's down to Mini, and the 1v3 does have the from the shadows. Spike, though, outside the revolving door. Do you use it to recover the spike, or do you use it to rotate? It seems they've chosen the former.
Yeah, just pick up the spike. I also wonder if they don't know where Mini could be, but second that spike goes down, they know exactly what's happening. And Mini doesn't have much to work with here, right? The one smoke they have, 23 seconds before the next one. Eyes are on heaven. No paranoia. 2 TPs, that's something, but it's not much. You're gonna hear the revolving door open, but Mini is not losing sight of where this could be. The second that one dissipates, they look towards behind them. This is where all 3 players give them the ones. That's gonna be dangerous. They saw Nami there, and they heard the footsteps from ladder moves. Caught inside of the paranoia, gonna TP over to the high ground. Now they're forced to drop down back to the ground below, but they gotta go for this. Time is starting to run out. Nami's defusing. Nami's holding it. Nami's not getting rid of it. Nami, stay strong. They stay true and firm to their convictions, and that gives Baker Swarm match and series point.
Got nervous when the Mini found the first kill, not gonna lie. And I almost on ladder moves as well, get overzealous to try and swing for the refrag there. But we've got to get, again, tip our fedoras to Demon. 29 and 10, 1 off from the 30 bomb. Get to 3K, right? You don't need a Sentinel on the A site when you've got them. What a grandstand again, after I mentioned how beautifully OC Eagles dismantled that A main control, right? And they're like, we don't need A main control, we just need site control. And again, Nami guts to stick it out here. 12-4, dimensional drift early from OC Eagles. I mean, they have the recipe with this, like, ult combo, right? To get a sight, to play the post plant off of the Armageddon. But Vader lurks instead. They go for trades, and I don't know if this is the right call.
Yeah, it's feeling kind of dicey in that respect. It's OC Eagles still with a numbers advantage, but how much more are you going to be able to get off the back of that when you still have players like Demon, Nami, and ladder moves alive? You're really struggling to figure out where you want to go from here. OC Eagles taking their time. I'm pushing on anywhere that they don't need to, and in fact, maybe even trying to pull some attention away on this C site. But that Arc Rose is going to give all of the information for Baker Swarm to know that no one is at C. Armageddon's going to be here, going to pop early by OC Eagles, but that's also kind of rough too because it slows them down and gives a chance for Baker Swarm to regroup here at this B site. Oh, Demon. Judge in hand. Nami spraying through the smoke. Down to the 3v2. Not again, Mini. And dashed dreams, dashed hopes as Baker Swarm throws the OC Eagles away. Week 6 of NECC Valorant is theirs. 2-1.
5th win of the season, righting the wrongs of their loss last week. Baker Swarm come back to win 2-1 against OC Eagles. Now, coming into this matchup, I was like, it feels like it's slightly leaning Baker Swarm's way just because of the performance, like, collectively, right, against Converse Purple as kind of a cross-reference point. But OC Eagles, off of Germsy maybe, off of, again, the revitalization it gave to the rest of the team in their performance, they looked really good. And if they can play like how they played on Split across their map pool, I think that they could definitely turn things around in these last few weeks.
I think so, too. It was a crazy showing from both of our teams tonight on... at least the first 2 maps. That map of Lotus was kind of really heavily favoring
Crazy.
that Baker Swarm squad, and especially Demon, right? Because we were singing the praises of Germsy. We were going crazy about it after we had talked about how great Demon was on Icebox. Well, they wanted to up. They wanted to improve. They wanted to do everything they could to get back at the top of that leaderboard. And I think the stats here aren't going to lie. They did more in less rounds, Zobi.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, we're going to take a look at those right now. And I mean, you could see, again, players were trying individual performance. I think it's just really sad that we didn't get the 30 bomb from Demon, but they brought everything else, right? 455, 7 first bloods. I mean, they got 7 map 1 of Icebox. They tried to break their records. And I mean, like the rest of the team, right, was stable, was positive behind them, but they were just there to facilitate. And I mean, that's a player who's like, I want to go to bed. Let's get this done.
Yeah, right. And you think, too, about some of the hidden gems, some of the hidden talent that hides out inside of Collegiate, Okeanos being one of those, right? Caillou, another one. These are the kind of players that you need to keep your eye on. This demon of a duelist could be having a very bright future ahead of them in Valorant. And if this is the kind of showing that we're getting from them, if this is the kind of squad that we get from Baker Swarm, it's no wonder why they've been able to put up the numbers that they have been so far.
No, for sure. And I mean, again, OC Eagles maybe a loss today, but I think that's a performance they can be proud of, maybe minus the Lotus one. I think, again, we saw great mental fortitude out of them over on Icebox in terms of the comeback potential, but Baker Swarm, again, a new name in this space, but experienced players behind them. A very supported roster as well from the tier 3, tier 2 space. And they have definitely come to make a mainstay in Collegiate. I mean, 5-1, not too shabby, right? And I think, again, the Concordia came down to some off map, maybe some off performances. I really cannot wait to see how deep of a run they make in playoffs.
Yeah, neither can I, Zobi. But unfortunately, that is going to be it for us tonight here on NECC Valorant.